doo-wah, oh, Tamri. Shooby-doo, fast travel through my heart. I booted up my PC back in 2006. Met a guy named Martin, man, his chin could break bricks. Dedrick gates were open and I saved Kvatch that night. But these days, Todd Howard can't script a game right. I miss the wacky guards yelling, "Stop, you violated the law." And mud crabs with tood like they're flexing their claw. I'd stroll through the shivering aisles, high on skooma and dreams. Now Starfield's got me mining space rocks and jeans. Back to the oblivion, baby, where the quests were weird and gravy. From Shiogarat's cheese to Lucian's ghost, it had more charm than Todd could ever post. Yeah, Starfield's big, but it's dull and gray. I'd rather close an oblivion gate today. Now listen here, Todd, you silver-tongued crooner. You sold me lies smoother than a Khajiit moon sugar dealer. You see that planet? You can go there. Yeah, I went, it sucked, it's just a rock and despair. I want my persuasion wheel, my glitchy horse on a roof. I want that beggar with 6 voices telling me the truth. Make the liar had more insight and flair than all your procedurally generated air. Back to the oblivion, baby, where the gates were hot and the jokes weren't lazy. Yeah, Skyrim was fine and the mods were neat, but Oblivion's heart had a weirder beat. So Todd, my boy, if you're hearing this song, bring back the weird and don't take so long. Doo-wop, Daedric pop, Martin Septim never dropped, but Starfield made me stop playing. Oh, Todd, please stop.
Okay. Oh God. Okay, everything's breaking. I don't know what's happening. Oh God. What is going on? Everything's breaking. Everything's terrible. This is why you don't get new things. Jesus. Yeah, it's an IGN stream, apparently. I have to... I don't know what the hell is going on. OBS is like freaking out. The audio's freaking out. Let's see. Okay, if I swap it back to just the microphone, then it's okay. But the mix out of this thing is horribly off. Even though it says it's fine. I don't know, man. I miss the Go XLR. This new thing is just, it's been one headache after another, dude. I don't know what the hell is going on. Everything's breaking. Anyway, hi. How is everybody? Yeah, he's just a finance mage. It's not like this is his job or anything. Exactly. Yeah, you just have to be supportive in my time of need. I don't know. It's really bizarre. Like everything is set up just fine, but it's freaking out. I'm not sure. I can't hear you. My ears are deaf. Yeah, after that, I don't blame you. Yeah, I really don't know. That's really insane. Everything's breaking. Yeah, weird. How's the bear? Hopefully everything's okay, my friend. Hopefully everything's okay. Let's see. New Chinese equipment? No. I mean, it probably is made in China. It's because for like years, so little backstory. The best audio mixer, if you're a streamer, YouTuber, whatever, especially if you do like dual PC setup, for like 5-6 years has been this. The Go XLR. It's fantastic. It's made by a company called TC Helicon. And it's an amazing device. And it's designed for this. Like, it's designed for streaming. And that's great. But the company, TC Helicon, whatever, they fired the entire team that made that thing and that did software support and everything. And that was like 7 months ago or something like that. Because I guess it wasn't profitable or whatever. So they fired everybody. So it's no longer supported. And now it's just dead. And after an update like a week or two ago, it stopped working consistently. It started having its own problems. So I was like, oh, what's the better alternative? And without a doubt, overwhelmingly, everybody said this thing, the Rødecaster Pro II. And it is a powerful device. But as you heard at the start of this stream, it is not designed for streaming, and it randomly will do stuff like that. And I don't know what the problem is. It's really bizarre. I don't know. But it's because it's designed for like podcasting. Like, it literally on the back has a micro SD card slot for you to put the micro SD card in so that you can record directly off of this and film record a podcast that way. So it's just not designed for this. It's designed for, a different type of thing. And it can work. It worked 2 days ago on stream, but for some reason today it's just like, no, everything's breaking. I don't know what the deal is. Real quick, just in case you hear some noise and stuff as we go through the stream today, just be aware they are currently prepping my backyard to have a big concrete pad poured. So you might hear some drilling. You might hear some hammering, some random things. That's what it is. Okay. That's what it is. Just so you know. Yeah. It decided to screw with your day today. I know. It's okay. I deserve it. We were on a good streak. We were on like a streak of a year plus with like no real major disruptions. Everything was great because that device is so good. But, this one I'm sure I will learn to love and it will be great. But for now, it's just frustrating. Yeah. It's literally way too quiet to hear anything else other than voice. Well, that's good. That means it's balanced correctly. Yeah. Sometimes you can still hear things rumble through, but yeah. How's the hound doing with all the people and noises? And no mine would be howling the house. He's good. Like, he is just one of the chillest little dudes, but I will tell you what, last night he had a bout of, we'll just say, an explosive bowel movement in his crate while sleeping. So he woke up, and I guess it must have happened while he was like dreaming or something. I don't know, but he exploded, and poor little fella. So at like 2 a.m. I woke up with him, and I spent an hour cleaning it up, and then had to get him cleaned up. We have these little they're cute. They're little coconut scented, like tropical breeze scented dog wipes for like cleaning up your dog, just for little stuff. I was like, I can't give him a bath in the middle of the night, but we'll clean him up with this. So he got a full wipe down. Now he smells like a pina colada, which is quite nice. And he's doing very well. He just got his brand new big Kong crate, which is sized for when he's a full grown adult doggo, because he's expected to get to like 100, 115 pounds, based on what the vet was saying. And so it's a big old crate, and he's enjoying that a lot today. So he's doing very well. He's doing very well. The dog run is getting built over the next few days as well. So he'll have a safer spot he can go to. And, you know, he's doing very, very well. He's doing very well. He's doing very well. Who else is excited for the Mind's Eye relaunch? No one? Really? Okay, well, that's not good. That sounds like a problem. That's damn. Weird. They did say they're going to relaunch it, dude. They did say that. Also, what did I tell you in that Anthem video? I said, mark my words, EA especially is going to start shutting down a bunch of games, especially as the like don't kill games or stop killing games rather petition picks up steam. A lot of companies are going to get ahead of this. They're going to kill off games that are not worth it anymore, and they're going to shut it down now before there's any debate or any potential risk of action to prevent them from doing it. And they're doing it again. So they announced Need for Speed Rivals will be losing its support in October. So there you go. I told you it'd happen again, and it is happening again. So it's just going to keep happening because this is the timeline. Yeah. It's only going to target future games, though. Yes, you are correct. Based on the petition as they've outlined it, it would be for like new releases and stuff. My understanding is the goal of a lot of these, like, I guess they would call them sunsettings, is to try and get it done now. So when they go into negotiations, so let's say the petition picks up enough steam, lawmakers in the EU pick it up and are like, okay, let's work on a deal. EA can then go and they will lobby and petition those same lawmakers to give them a policy that's more favorable for EA, and they want to be able to go to those tables without having a bunch of concessions and things. And so if they get all their ducks in a row before those negotiations kick off, it could help them out. That's my understanding of the lobbying process in Europe, at least. Lobbying is so insane. The fact that lobbying is legal, period, anywhere in the world is crazy, because it's one of those things, you describe it and it sounds super illegal, but everyone's like, yeah, that's just how it is. Like, yeah, so let's just break this down. A company goes and hires people to work on their behalf to try and convince and persuade lawmakers to do what they want. How is that not bribery? Well, it's not, because they're hiring someone else to do it. What? Okay. But that's just, that's how it is. And they'll found these entire like organizations. So for example, like that, what was it called? It was like Europe Games. What did they call themselves? Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, lobbying group. Video Games Europe. That's what it was. It's literally just called Video Games Europe. And all it is, it looks like, you click on the website, it looks like just a standard organization. Oh, video game industry in society. Okay. Policy, promote growth, responsible gameplay. This all sounds great. And then you look at the board. It's literally just a coagulation of all of these reps from the biggest game companies in the industry. Multi-billion-dollar companies. And they come together and they form this group, and then this group goes to lawmakers and then tries to convince them of various policies and stuff. Like, again, it's so transparent what it is, but this is how it also works. Like, there's groups like this that represent, you know, the tobacco industry, the oil industry, the cosmetology industry. Like, this is very, very normal, unfortunately, but it's so transparent what's going on that, like, this is just corporate lobbying, you know? Like, it's so obvious. Maybe it wasn't obvious back in the day and people were like, oh, this organization came forward and said that they actually are opposed to stop killing games. Interesting. But now, like, everybody knows what is going on. Everybody. Like, there is no mystery, there's no confusion. Everybody knows what's happening. Also, real quick, just at the start, Limit Breakers gifted 5 memberships to everybody at the top of the stream. That's crazy. Thank you, my friend. Welcome everybody who got that. And if you just got a membership gifted to you by that, go and hop in the Discord. Sign up, connect your Discord account to your YouTube account, and you can join us. It'd be great. Hugham sent the first message over here. Let's see. This is crazy, dude. I'm not even joking, Hugham. Twitch held your message because you said, just got told I'm getting laid off. It held your message because you said getting laid. Twitch held that message because they thought it was inappropriate. Crazy. I did not hold your message, I swear. Hey, Luke, just got told I'm getting laid off from my AAA concept art job. Thanks for providing some distraction and fun stuff to listen to during this time. I'm very sorry to hear that, my friend. I'm very sorry to hear that. I'm glad you're here. Hopefully we can take your mind off of things a little bit. But just remember, there's always greener pastures. You know, there's always a better place. Just got to go hunting for it. So I'm sure you'll land on your feet. Especially if you land at a AAA concept art job, I'm sure you're pretty good. I'm sure you know what you're doing. So you just got to get through it. Got to get through it, right? Let's see. I also just find it so funny that Twitch will be like, yeah, we're going to hold that message because you said you got laid off. But then, like, there's people that are, like, doing insane things on stream, and they're like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. Here's a 90-minute timeout. You're banned for 90 minutes, and then you can come back, keep going. Like, it's so stupid. All of Twitch's policies are a joke. Hey, Luke, how would you define a great game OST based on that criteria? What's the greatest video game OST? It's a good question. I don't know, because to a certain extent, it's always very subjective. Like, there is no definitive answer. This is the best one ever. But, you know, you could say things like unique melodies, unique or memorable melodies. I think if there's a lot of custom music, so if the track list is pretty robust, that also is an indication of a lot of custom music for different scenes and stuff. In recent memory, probably my favorite is, no shocker to anybody, Expedition 33. Freaking phenomenal. But other games that have great soundtracks, yeah, exactly. Final Fantasy, Halo has a very iconic soundtrack. The Witcher 3. One of the things I like is when you can hear like a 5-second bit of music and immediately know what game it's from. You know, you hear 5 seconds of the Witcher 3 combat theme, you know exactly what that's from. You know? You hear that basic exactly with God of War, the dun, dun, dun. You hear that, you know what it is. Even though that's just from the 2018 onward, 2018 game onward. Same with The Last of Us. You hear the like plucky, I almost said piano strings. What is wrong with me? You hear the plucky guitar strings and you hear that Gustavo Santaolalla sound, very unique, and you know exactly what it is. I think that, you know, very unique vibe is key. But yeah, without a doubt, in recent memory, the one that's blown me away has been Expedition 33. I will unironically listen to that music while driving in the car because it's just freaking fantastic. Or I'm telling you what, that final theme against, maybe that's a spoiler, so I won't say the name of the guy, but there's a final boss fight towards the end of Expedition 33 where like the male vocals come in and it gets like almost orchestral metal vibes to it. It's so freaking good. And that on a treadmill while like sprinting, oh, I'll tell you what, that's a vibe. That is a vibe, my friend. Recommend it. You're just going da, 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 while you're rowing or whatever. This isn't how I run, to be clear. I was imagining I was rowing. I realized that could be confusing because I said running, but yeah, anyway. It was like, how the hell does Luke run? What is that? Oh, yeah. I want to look at Ghost of Yotei. I also want to show you this. This is crazy. Hidden One shared this. I hadn't seen this one before, but I've never been a big fan of graphical reshade mods since usually most people just bump up the sharpness saturation, call it a. Yeah, I know, dude. It's so cringe when they do that. However, this one stands out. It's one of the best looking graphical mods I've seen for AC Black Flag, a game that released 12 years ago. It's still unreleased and the creator's been working on it for over 6 months, but even through X's dog shit compression, it looks stunning. Look at this. Look at this. This is a reshade mod. Dude, they did a good job. They did a good damn job. Look at this thing. The shadow quality is way better. Like, you can still tell with the hair, you know, and some of the mesh quality, you can tell that it's an older game, but this is a beautiful, beautiful reworking of it. What's a reshade mod? There's unfortunately a wide spectrum of what it can mean. Sometimes it means, kind of like you alluded to earlier, it's just like a filter that goes over the screen and they just crank saturation or something and make you think that it looks better when it's just the higher saturation or higher contrast or whatever. But good reshade mods will do things like actually changing like the shaders, reworking lighting, reworking texture filtering, reworking all sorts of different things. And with this, you can tell just with this, I mean, I'll tell you what, this type of shadow would not be doable with the base version of the game. Like, it's greatly improved across the board. I don't know how he's doing it. I don't know what this entails, but I do know a good looking mod when I see it. And this is a good looking mod. Hopefully he gets it out soon, because we're going to have potentially a remake to compare this to relatively soon. Man, I can't wait to go back through Black Flag. I mean, it's one of those games. It's just, it always treats you right. You know? Always treats you right. Oh, look. So this is not just a me problem. Apparently other people have had it. Rødecaster Pro II. All of a sudden, super loud main mix stereo output and clipping. That's exactly what this stream started with. And then this guy says, unfortunately, I don't have a good answer for you, but I'm experiencing the same thing with my OBS. My audio will spike, become loud, garble noise, remounting the USB into my streaming PC, fixes the issue temporarily. 2 weeks ago, it happened, closed every 1 to 2 hours, did an update from the Pro 2. Last week hasn't really been happening, so maybe check if you have an update available, hoping someone else has more concrete answer. Dude, this is from 2 years ago, and it's still happening to me. Oh, gosh. And it is fully updated, too. We fully updated, fam. Darn it. Darn it, dude. What a joke. Am I going to have to replace this damn thing? That would suck. It's such a, like, it's a very nice thing, but it's been just like one headache after another. And then they're like, yeah, this thing you're experiencing. Yeah, I had that 2 years ago. Still happens. RCP2, come back randomly, mic volume window changes, usage audacity. Some apps like to adjust volume levels, recording doors to I don't think that's it. Okay, in the old control panel, you can get okay, well, I guess we can try that. Anyway, sorry to bore you with that stuff. Everything's breaking. That's just how we do it. This is how we do it. We break everything. Because that's how we do. That's how we do be vibing. I don't know what the hell is happening with it, though. It's such a insane thing. Maybe if I just put it all at 50%, it'll work okay. I don't know. Anyway. Thank you to Sumaya for the super chat. Thank you. Am I the only one who felt Yotei just looks okay? It looks like a bit improved Tsushima, but with a classic revenge storyline that has been done so many times. I don't think I'm sold on playing at launch. Might wait for a sale. Ooh! Sumaya coming out swinging with the hot takes. Or is it hot? I don't know. Maybe it's a lukewarm take. Let's do a poll. You know what we do. You know how we do be doing. Let's do a poll. Let's do it. You ready? You ready? You ready? Do you think Ghost of Yotei, or let's do what do you think of Ghost of Yotei? Looks fire. Looks fine. Looks I fine and meh. Let's do good. Let's do meh. Like it's just eh. And then let's say looks lame. I don't know. Lame. Is that fair? Cover our bases. Fire, good, meh, lame. I don't think anybody would say it looks bad. It might just be like underwhelming. I've heard a good number of people actually say it looks underwhelming, which is kind of surprising, honestly. Because we're going to look at it here in a second, and I'll tell you what I think. Because I do have some thoughts, but I'm surprised to see. I've seen a good number of people that are like, let's see how it comes in. Let's see how it comes in. So 35% are saying fire, 42% good, 20% going and only 3% saying lame. Interesting. Interesting. I would have expected more fire, honestly. Interesting. I think it looks good, but I want it to be different, says Ian. I do think, I'm interested in the fact that they've changed out, so there's a lot more weapons now. And it seems like the stance system has largely been swapped out to the weapon swap system, I guess. And that could end up being just fine, covering distances differently based on whether you're using a spear or a heavy weapon versus just swapping stances or whatever. But it is different. I was surprised to see that. It's completely different weapons instead of just different stances. Because I feel like in the first game, it was really fluid to go from whatever it was, like water stance to stone stance or whatever. I don't remember the names. But to go from like grunt stance to big guy stance to the deflection parry stance, it was really fluid because it was just changing his posture and how he held the weapon. Now she just pulls like a gigantic spear out of her ass and is like, okay, I have this now. And then she pulls a gigantic sword out of her ass. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But I personally prefer the vibe of the first game when it was just like so smooth and silky. But we'll see. We'll see, But honestly, I'm surprised even this, like 20% after 400, almost 450 votes, 20%, a solid fifth of you are saying, like a good third is up there. Okay, that's good. That's good. But okay, interesting. Jocelyn, thank you for the sub, by the way. Thank you. Thank you. Very interesting. Interesting development on this. Interesting. Compelling. The Mev votes are just Fortnite bros who don't play good games. It's possible. I can't say it's impossible. You never know. You never know. But we'll look at that in a second. We'll look at that in a second in more detail. Wilfredo, thank you for the 2. We're gonna look at Battlefield 6 development trouble. I want to do a big comprehensive thing, looking at some of the leaks, looking at some of the statements from devs, some of the stuff where like apparently they're expecting 100 million players, which is insane because I think the top Battlefield game ever did like 30 million. So we'll see. We'll see. Or maybe it's like combined they did 30. Anyway, 100 million is crazy. 100 million is insane. It's absolutely wild. But yeah, I do want to do like a comprehensive thing about it. Rick Chan, thank you for the 2. You're going to check out Superman this weekend? Potentially. I do know some people that have gone to see it and are very interested, but I have one of my buddies, my like college buddies. he has his first baby expected to be delivered like any day now. So we're gonna try to, you know, help. He has like a dog at home, so we're like on call because I want to be able to help him if he needs it. So we'll see. I'm kind of scared to make plans, you know. Damn, condolences. Is it FedEx or UPS? It's being done by like Bridges, like on the Magellan or something. I don't know. Congrats to your friend. Yeah. No, it's. I'm very happy for him. Very happy for him. It's gonna be cool. Graphics are same. Story is done. Naoe's story. Removed stances for weapons. Stupid change. Now I'm forced to use every weapon and can't make a dual katana build. Yeah. I mean, I want to be open-minded on it. Because you just like, you don't know what it is until you see it. You never know. But at this point, I'm a little like interesting. Though they did make an offhanded comment where they're changing the way that the open world works. And it sounded to me an awful lot like they're shifting towards a more basically towards a much more like Elden Ring style exploration. Like they don't want you to be having to go and look through the map and like set objective markers everywhere. They want it to be very open-ended. One of the interesting little things is also like the flowers. You see these stretches of flowers. These basically serve as like boost pads for your horse. So if you ride through the flowers, it helps you go faster, which is also kind of a funny thing. And I see some people say graphically it looks the same. If you look at it side by side, this is objectively much higher fidelity. But I think what inevitably happens, it's the same thing that happened when those Death Stranding side by sides came out. Where like in our mind, Death Stranding 1 still looks really, really good, right? But if you go and you look at the side by sides now, it's like not even. It really is not that close. Like the fidelity level is just way, way higher on the new game versus the second. But I think what it is just again, another classic example of diminishing marginal returns. Like every generation this happens where, you know, back in the early days, you might have something like, you know, going from the PS1 to the PS2 is a huge leap. And then to the PS3, big leap, but not like that insane compared to the first one. Still exciting. And then you go from PS3 to PS4, still a pretty good leap. And then you go to the PS5 and it's like, okay, well, or maybe PS4 Pro is like right here. And then PS5 is like right here. So the differences get significantly smaller. You know, the first time, huge leap, and then smaller leap, even smaller leap, even smaller leap. And then by the time you get to this generation, you know, it's like pretty tiny. It's at least based on what you can see. Like they're doing really impressive technical things nowadays where they're like, hey, yeah, we ray trace our global illumination, and we do things like simulate the bounces of the sound through the environment. We'll do things like on our SSD for instantaneous loading. There are things they're doing now that you could not do in last generation devices. Like it just wasn't possible. But I think those things are much less noticeable or impactful. Like you save people time on loading in, they appreciate it, but they get used to it really quickly. Whereas like seeing photorealistic graphics is much more memorable or something actionable. You can talk about it way easier. So I can understand that vibe. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, it does look like significantly better than the first game in terms of fidelity, in terms of how much stuff is on screen, the level of detail in the things on screen. The draw distance is crazy. You'll notice in Ghost of Tsushima, they had a few vistas kind of like this, but a lot of games try to avoid this, especially with wide FOVs, because rendering all of this at the same time with the volumetric clouds and everything is quite demanding. It's quite demanding, but they're doing it pretty effortlessly here, it seems. There was one part where I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't look awesome. It was when she was climbing. She was like climbing up a rock, and I thought the like cloth sim and hair stuff didn't look particularly great. I don't know. I don't see it. But segments like this look freaking amazing. Oh, was it right here? I think it was right here. Not right here. No, I mean, here you can see some artifacting with like the cloth and the fur and stuff. I think here just the lighting, you can tell this is not like actual like I don't know. It looks a little too flat with the lighting, and here her face and skin is way too bright. It just looks weird to me. But I think that's because the rest of the game looks so freaking good that when you see little points where it doesn't, like it's not consistent, it's jarring because the rest of it looks so good. But then you see shots like this and like, are you really going to tell me this doesn't look fantastic? I mean, come on, dude. This looks insane. Anybody who's like, yeah, it looks like a PS3 game. I'm like, okay, that's bad bait. I mean, come on, dude. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I will say their ability to do this like seamless travel with the UI being so minimalistic, I just freaking love it. Now, they did not go into a lot of detail about world events and how they're changing. You see like, you know, games still the same training stuff. Of course, the hot springs are back. But the first game got really repetitive with the open world stuff. It was one of the common critiques of it. So it's going to be interesting to see how it changes this time around. Here we can see a little tidbit, kind of like I mentioned earlier, where the weapon stance has been swapped for totally different weapons. So she'll use one and then, you know, looks pretty good. Okay. Picks up the spear off the ground, throws it, skadoosh. And then we're right into combat. Ooh, baby. The leaves blowing in the wind looks fantastic. Man. I do think, though, somebody mentioned, well, we just got AC Shadows. And here's the thing. This is jarring for us. Okay, this is jarring for us. For a casual gamer, so the guys that just walk into Best Buy or GameStop and see what games are on sale and that's the game they play, they're not watching YouTube videos, they're not really watching streamers, they just hop in, see what game looks interesting or what doesn't. For a lot of them, they played AC Shadows earlier this year, and this, you know, being a game set in a very similar setting with I mean, vaguely similar combat, we could say, like similar weapons or even identical weapons in a couple instances. But, you know, I do think for a casual audience, I can see how they'd look at this and be like, oh, well, this is too close to AC Shadows. Because if you've not played these games before, if you don't really know the differences between like Ghost of Tsushima and all these, you might not appreciate all of that. Look how smooth this is. See that little whip to get the blood off of it. Oh, so smooth. I love that. So smooth. Anyway, but I do think probably one of the things that happens after AC Shadows and now after this is that we're going to see the Japanese setting put on ice for a good long while. You remember back like 5-6 years ago, everything was set in like Viking Nordic settings. Now I think, you know, we're getting a bunch of games set in, you know, the feudal Japan setting, and then we're going to shift and we're going to start to get, you know, something different. I'm hoping for pirates, but this happens all the time in the industry where there's like a meta that everybody's doing. One surprising thing though was that they mentioned and they kept alluding to new modes and stuff. They showed the music bits, but they mentioned new gameplay modes, and I thought that meant they were going to bring like multiplayer day one, or like, you know, the whatever they called it, I think Legends mode. I thought they were going to bring that, and I was down for that. I was like, day one, multiple, that'd be cool. But no, what they mean is like the different graphical modes. So I think they probably could have been clear about that, or maybe I just was too hopeful. But they do have like a couple different modes. This one has a tighter FOV so that it's like a little more intense, higher blood effects or you know, are dealt out, so it's a little more gory. The other one, of course, is in the style of I forget the name of the director, but the old school black and white Kurosawa mode. Black and white film grain audio filter, and they increase the wind. So you get this cool blowing effect. It's similar to what they had in the last game too, but cool little filter, cool little alteration to the game if you want it. And then they also have the Watanabe mode, which offers lo-fi beats during exploration and combat, if you so desire, which is also interesting. Did not expect this, but, you know, still cool, still cool. I mean, come on, okay. Like, again, anytime I see a shot like this, I'm like, are you really going to tell me that looks the same as the last game? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Come on, dude. Looks fantastic. Looks very, very good. Looks very good. I think this, I know some people are stoked for this, but I think this looks very stupid. The controller looks fine, but I'm sorry, the plates being the customizable thing, I miss the age of like the PS4 Pro collector's items, you know, those where like they were all totally custom. It was not something you could just buy off of Etsy. Like it was an elaborate thing and it was super, super cool. The controllers look cool. I like the controllers, but this whole thing the PS5 has done with like the plates where it's the same device. They just swap out the plates. Like, I don't know. It's so underwhelming to me. Plus, stands sold separately. You got to remember that. It's like $30. So I think like a lot of this, it does look very, very reminiscent of Ghost of Tsushima, which makes sense because this is a sequel technically. So like, yeah. Yes, it's going to look similar because it is the next game in that series. Like that's what they're doing. They're going to build upon what they did previously. I do think, you know, some of these changes like here, you can see when you're basically interrogating somebody, there's the option to get a new weapon, a new region, get like more information, basically like collecting intel from various people that can be used to find new quests or can be used to find new equipment and things like that. That's going to be interesting. But again, they didn't go into too many specifics with how this will work. I get the feeling just based on this, so you can see growth, Wolfpack, map, gear, inventory settings. They are shifting away from how the last game worked in terms of exploration towards a much more open-ended style, which some people will love. I like this versus like the checklist kind of thing. Some people will probably hate it. Just being real. Funnily enough, it's similar to what AC Shadows also did, where AC Shadows had the scout system. So you would go throughout the game and you'd collect these scouts that join you at your settlement and base. And then those scouts you can spend basically once per season. And those scouts will go and look in a certain area for a main story objective or for a point of interest or whatever it may be. And that was their way of trying to prevent you from just getting access to the whole map and then going and checking off the list of all of the question marks. Or in the case of like AC Valhalla, it was just a bunch of little dots and stuff scattered around the map. So both games are trying to do this in different ways. Of course, we know how AC Shadow did it. We don't really know how this is going to work in practice, but I'm intrigued at the very least. I'm excited to see what else they do with it. You know, because I think at the very least, it suggests that they're trying to take it in a different direction than the first game, which was very formulaic in its setup and how they kind of prompted players for it. Let's see. Wonder if they will end this franchise with a ghost set in the Boshin War. I wonder if they're going to do a third game right after this, or if they're going to go back and do something totally different. I don't know. We'll see. I also think this is really an underrated thing that I've heard very few people talk about. So they've changed this up. Basically, one of the problems I have with, like, one of the many problems I've had with the recent era of Assassin's Creed games is that when you play, let me look up an interactive map. That'll probably work better. AC Valhalla. Let's do this. Map Genie. There we go. So in can you tell it's a Ubisoft game? In AC Valhalla, what happens in a lot of these games is like you'll be exploring and maybe you're down here in this lower peninsula. But they have it set up where your settlement, and therefore a lot of the main cast of characters, a lot of the main story quests, a lot of that stuff goes back to your settlement. And your settlement is kind of the hub of operations. And they do that because you can customize it. You can place buildings, upgrade buildings, change the look of it, which allows them to sell skins for those things, like really useful that way. But, you know, it's always bringing you back. It's always bringing you back. And I can see why they want to do that, because they're like, oh, it's a hub. It's a place for you to come back to after exploration, and it's familiar, you know about it, and you can just kind of settle into it. I understand that. But what inevitably happens is that players will put off going back to it because they want to explore. Like if you're down here exploring, if you're exploring and walking around Winchester or Lincolnshire or Gloucestershire or Oxfordshire, Grantbridgeshire. Dude, I forgot about all the shires. If you're exploring these areas, it's probably because you want to explore them. You want to find cool things. You want to see things you hadn't seen before. And so being pulled out of London to go all the way back up to Ravensthorpe is just kind of, it can be frustrating, or maybe not frustrating. It can just be disruptive, you know, because instead of continuing to explore, maybe you're going through these trails and you're finding interesting things, you know, you're finding all these little tidbits sprinkled about. And then after you get the ingot and after you go to the priory, you decide, oh, I want to start I need to talk to that one guy in my camp, or one of my companions or allies. So then you have to load up, most likely, fast travel all the way back, talk to the guy, and then fast travel back over here, continue exploring and continuing over here. And then, oh, I need to go back there because I have to upgrade my weapons. And you go all the way back, you fast travel back, and you do the upgrades, and then you fast travel back over. And it's just disruptive, you know? What they seem to be doing with Ghost of Yotei is that you're going to, I'm sure, still have places that you need to return to. But for a lot of these like discussions with NPCs or with allies and stuff like that, they're going to have those people come to you at your base. So if you are deciding to set up camp for the night, they will, as far as I understand it, have these NPCs come and like join you at your camp so that they come to you. The way that they phrased it, you know, unpredictable nature of its previous owner. Again, I would play the audio, but our soundboard is dying. Shout out Rødecaster Pro II for all the problems. Camping under the stars is a great way to rest up. Play your shamisen. As you can see here, you can pick the songs that you want to play. They have a whole list of them, which I kind of like this stuff. I'm just going to be real. I really like this stuff. Similar in like Expedition 33, you could find different records to play in your base. I love that kind of thing. You ready up some food, cook it up. It's also designed to help bring important characters and upgrades straight to you. In fact, in place of the journal menu from Ghost of Tsushima, we've opted for a more character-driven way of managing allies. I prefer this setup way more than the board in AC Shadows. I'm just going to be real. The board in AC Shadows, which was kind of borrowed from Assassin's Creed Mirage, I understand what they're trying to do. I just find it to be a more confusing list. I just don't like it very much. But this, where it's set up with the characters, with their illustrated portraits, and then you can actually see speech bubbles when they're ready to talk to you. Has new upgrades. You can basically, as you can see, meet Etzo. In Etzo. Over time, Atsu grows to have her own wolf pack. So this will expand. You can see, you can track the objective. I should return to his dojo in Owl Mountain to continue my training. So some places you'll still will return, but then other characters will come to you when you set up camp. As you can see here, where set up camp and they will visit you. Set up camp, and then she'll come and the vendor will sell you an item. Just like this. I really like this, personally. Now, who knows? Maybe in the course of like a 30, 40-hour campaign or however long this is, maybe it gets annoying because you're like, I want to go sell stuff. I don't want to have to set up camp and cycle through day, night every single time I want to sell something. Maybe it ends up being frustrating. But at the, you know, in terms of concept, I like this in concept. I like the idea of the characters coming to you. As you can see here, this helps ensure you have every opportunity to upgrade and prepare for Atsu's Vengeance quest ahead. You don't have to leave where you're exploring, the game comes to you. And I thought that was just a great way of phrasing it. Instead of doing what a lot of games do, this is not just an Assassin's Creed problem, to be very, very clear. It's true of many, many games. Even like a God of War Ragnarok had the same thing where you had to return back to Brock to do some upgrades and things. Instead of doing that and disrupting your exploration by forcing you to return, they could just be like, oh, you want to upgrade? Okay, just set up camp right here. You know, even Elden Ring did this. We had to go back to the main hub to upgrade your weapons. You could, of course, level up outside, but like to actually, you know, upgrade weapons and things, you had to return all the way back to the central hub, which again, some people like that because it is a good chance to go back, kind of check in with the various shops and everything. But I like the idea of this. At the very least, it's something different. It's something new. And in my opinion, we need a lot more new ideas when it comes to open world games, because Todd knows there's a lot of very, very similar ones. In Ragnarok, the dwarves follow you around. Well, I guess I'm thinking of 2018 mainly. Because Ragnarok, I guess you're right. They do kind of come back. And the story does loop you back. So I'll say for 2018, it was set up in that way where you kind of have to go to their shops at I'm blanking on the name of that part of the map. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, you have to go back to Brock. Now I want to replay Tsushima. Thanks. You should. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays in comparison. I think it looks really good graphically. I love the art direction. Some of these Vista shots are insane, but you do have to remember, as with all games, sweeping vistas are pretty. They are very, very pretty. But you do have to remember, like we've done a bajillion times before, with open world games, it's also about how they keep you engaged from moment to moment. And in this case, like imagine, clearly there's a smoke stack billowing up here. So you're probably being invited in that direction. They want you to go here. That's the idea, at least. This is pulling your attention here. The smoke trails down. You want to go here. So you may mark it, you know, with the ability they showed, or maybe you just hop on your horse and you ride. But you do need to remember that you are riding across this field, across the river, and across this way with very little in between you and this objective for maybe a minute, 90 seconds. So it's a much slower paced game. And I think this is why some people love Ghost of Tsushima, the first game, and some people just fell off of it, because it does take a much more laid back approach. It does not take the AC Valhalla approach. You know, AC Valhalla would have 3 different things happening. You know, okay, this is a treasure chest. Over here is a piece of armor. Right here is an enemy that you can attack for some quick XP. Over here is an animal you need to fight. And then there's the objective you were headed to. And it's just designed to like constantly pull your attention and give you little bitty things to do. Like, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, piece of candy. Ghost of Tsushima doesn't do that. It's not piece of candy, piece of candy, piece of candy, piece of candy, piece of candy. It's like field, steak, field, glass of wine. You know, it's much different. And that's why some people love it. But some people who are looking for that more junk food style game, they can get maybe just, for lack of a better term, bored with it, which we've heard. We had people come in chat just saying, yeah, I kind of get bored with Ghost of Tsushima. I just struggle to finish it, which, you know, some people, they do like the piece of candy style game design for open world stuff more, which, you know, whatever you like, you like. I just, you know, ask people don't therefore dismiss other people like, oh, you don't like... You like this, therefore you're wrong. Like, no, everybody just has different tastes. That's okay. But I mean, this looks very, very pretty. Very, very pretty. In terms of actual unique points of interest, I'm guessing right here, this looks like maybe it's a spring. Over here, there looks like there's maybe a settlement or something. That looks like there's a camp, another camp over here. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm very excited. It launches in early October. I think, I've been surprised that we did the poll earlier in the stream and 20% of people are like, but I don't know how many of those 20% were ever going to be interested in it. It is definitely a sequel. They're making some interesting design shifts and changes. I like a lot of them. A couple of them I'm still a little iffy on, like swapping stances for weapons, but I'm open-minded about it. So we'll see. I 100% completed Tsushima, but on replay, I would probably skip all the side stuff. I just like the combat and sneaking around, throwing smoke bombs. I really liked collecting the different armor sets. That was something I just ate up because not only did they look very, very different, but they had significant changes to gameplay. And like, if you, because you 100% completed it, but in case people out there don't know, there are different armor sets that significantly change what Jin is capable of doing. So like, for example, and they have, quick loadouts basically in the game. So I had the like general's armor that was really good for fighting big groups of enemies and for taking damage and deflecting that damage quite easily. It was like swapping to a tank build basically. And then I also had a stealth outfit that was entirely focused on stealth with, all sorts of specific abilities for that. And so when I would go into different encounters, I would swap the armor sets and it would totally change how I played. And I love that. I really like it. I like armor-based like leveling and power stuff, especially when it gives abilities, I really, really like that in games. Like, give me a 5% damage buff or a 3% range damage reduction. Like, I can live with that. But if you can give me that plus a new ability the armor gives me, like, oh, now you can, when you're crouched in stealth, you make no noise at all. I like that. I love that kind of thing because it totally changes how you play, right? It's really, really cool. I still want transmog. I think that's one of those things in a game like Ghost of Tsushima, I could see them adding in post-launch. I don't know. For me, it's not that crazy high on the priority list because I feel like the armor sets they make generally look really, really good. I don't remember any in Ghost of Tsushima that I was like, ew. Like, there's plenty in a lot of other games where you're like, what were you thinking? But I don't know. Melissa says, I am a meh voter who was very interested until they said you pick your own story structure. That to me just makes it sound like they're going to do like a Far Cry 5 kind of setup where they're going to have the different targets for you to pursue and then you just pick which one you want to do first. I'm guessing that's what they're going to do. Honestly, like it may end up being structured much closer to AC Shadows than people realize. So like Shadows, yep. Yeah. Which is, to be clear, I think Shadows, pretty good. I don't think it's like a masterpiece or anything, but I think it is a step in the right direction. I think it's significantly better than Valhalla, in my humble opinion. But I think a lot of people, it's been kind of the interesting thing. Back when Tsushima launched, it was criticized by some as being too similar to Ubisoft games. And they compared it to Far Cry, they compared it to Assassin's Creed, they compared it to a lot of like different games. But in the years since, it's like that part of the discussion kind of has been forgotten. And now it's seen as like the anti-Ubisoft game, which is a little funny because at the time of launch, it was compared directly to Ubisoft games. And they said, if you did it differently than Far Cry, it would be even better. But with this, like, it actually seems like it's going to be structured fairly similarly to Shadows, but I think that they're doing a few key things better. So it's going to be interesting. How much do I miss Suicide Squad? Oh, every day, man. Every day. The story of Shadows was bad. The ending of Shadows was bad. Like, kind of ridiculous. It just didn't go anywhere. They just didn't have anything. They're just like, oh, well, whatever. It was kind of wild. They straight up just cut the last, in my opinion, I'm guessing they cut out like the last 6 hours of the game. But yeah. Let's see. Okay. Hot Springs confirmed, by the way. Yeah, it was initially confirmed in the ESRB rating thing, because it said at multiple times in the game's course of the game's runtime, a woman's exposed buttocks are visible while entering a hot spring. It was like, huh. Good point. Yep. That's what happens. It was quite funny. Sarah, Jesus. That's crazy, dude. Thank you. Wowza Canowza just gifted 20 memberships over on YouTube. Welcome everybody who just got those. Big dubs. Big dubs in the chat, indeed. If you just got a membership, I am not joking. Connect your YouTube account to your Discord account. You will automatically be invited to our Discord. Do it. Shout out to Sarat. Thank you. Very generous. Thank you, everybody. Welcome. Glad to have you. Icarus, also, thank you for the membership as well. Thank you for that. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. And also, Clark Work Orange. That's a good name. Sent some bits on Twitch. Hope something has brought you joy today. Yeah, I'm glad, there are some things happening in the background that, of course, we'll keep private for, reasons. But the important thing to remember is that even on one of your bad days, you are still living someone else's dream life, Like, obviously, for me, it's like I'm a YouTuber, which is a dream job. So even if I have a day where, like my legs don't work randomly, like I'm still living somebody's dream job, many people's dream job. So it's not lost on me. But even if, you're working a job you're frustrated by, even if you are dealing with just anything, just remember there are people out there who would still kill to be you, and just appreciate it. Be like, you know what? I'm glad I'm here. Let's see. Game Wires. Hold on. Let me see. Let me scroll back. Have you seen the intergalactic leak? Thank you for the 2. I have not. What is this intergalactic leak? If I Google intergalactic leak, am I going to get shown something horrible? Let's see. Now I'm interested. Let's see. I see a video with 4 views. Another video with 1 view. Okay. This is 4chan, but it sounds feasible and really cool. Okay, I guess we can try this. Is this what you're talking about? The 4chan kind of leak thing? Is this what you mean? Better call the space plumber. Yeah, this is it. Okay, I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, Scythe. The universe's butthole. That's what I'm saying. It kind of sounds like it. If you search intergalactic leak, I'm going to get shown like 1 man, 2 jars or something. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it. But if it's for the video game, I'm interested. Aliens Gone Wild. Yeah. Thank you again, Sarat. That's absolutely crazy. The 20 gifted memberships. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. He got 2 jars in there. Color me jealous. Yeah, dude. What, do you think he's just been sitting on a donut for the last 20 years? I don't know how old that video is. Probably not. He's probably been working, training, preparing. think that's what he's been doing. So I'm surprised it's not 3 by this point. Jimothy, thank you for the 14 months. 14 months of waiting for a hot tub stream. Will not give up hope. Give Fergus a kiss for me, please. Oh yes, he's always watching over us. Fergus, watching over the play button. All hail Fergus, indeed. Indeed. And yeah, I was just talking to Nikki this morning, actually. We want to go take another trip out to Scottsdale, and they have a hot tub there. And so I was like, ooh, maybe we do a whole hot tub stream while there. That could be fun. You know, finally. I was going to do it last time, but they were having their internet like redone. So they had like, you know, it was basically you had to use your cell phone. But it's whatever. We'll figure it out. It could be fun. Yeah, hot tub time machine stream. Oh yeah. How many vacations will that be this year? I don't even know, dude. I don't know. I'm very fortunate that I can still basically work while traveling. So like the trip earlier this month to Minnesota, we were visiting Nikki's grandma, who is turned 95. Crazy. But that was good, you know, so sort of a vacation, yeah, but not like we went to the Bahamas in January. Like that's a vacation. Granted, we had norovirus and we're super sick for half of it, basically for an entire week of it. So it wasn't that rejuvenating. Lost weight in the Bahamas, actually. Lost weight involuntarily, but still. Are you ever going to do a Warhammer painting stream? You remember talking about it before? Or I remember you talking about it before. I don't know, actually. I don't know. I'm open to it. I have a lot of Warhammer stuff. I've pumped the brakes on it because at this point I think I have 5 armies, which is more than anybody ever needs. I need to bring those display cases in here. I was going to put them back there. I need to do that. But yeah, I have Thousand Sons, Orcs, Eldari, Necrons, and some Chaos Demons. So I kind of need to chill for a bit, you know. need to do that. What's my next Lego build stream? I don't know. We should do it. I have the Lego Endurance back there still, and I have the Lego Gringotts Bank. I have to do both of those. Oh, that sneeze snuck up on me. How do you know if you got a gifted membership? You'll see it next to your name. So if you have it, you'll have one of the little Luke Stevens badges next to your name. Yeah, Xeno scum. Yeah. Make it a donation stream, make it rain. Free roam hot tub stream with Luke and Jor playing Sparking Zero. We can only dream. Jor has to be in his bathtub though. So we'd have to do Jor in his bathtub and then me in a hot tub. That would be good. That would be funny, actually. I should pitch that to him. That would actually be kind of goated. Maybe when they do, like, they finally reveal the Horizon game, that's how we talk about it. Because we know that stream is going to do well. That could be funny. I'll pitch it. That would be funny. Let's see. Rupture Knight, thank you for the 5. I'm at work. Who did it? Who gifted me a membership? Inconceivable. Thank you. I'm not actually sure if you can check who gifted it. What if can I click on your name? No. YouTube's tools for this stuff are not very good, so it's kind of impossible to tell. But yeah, congratulations. Welcome. Glad to have you. Glad to have you there. Get in the Discord now. Melissa, jeez. Melissa just donated 5 memberships to the community. Antichristu, Toenail, Recreation TV, SOG Sven, sorry, I can read. SOG Sven 84, and David got gifted memberships. Booyah. Thank you, Melissa. Very generous of you as well. Thank you, guys. Seriously, get in the Discord. Because in the Discord, we share memes. We share stories. We talk about things before they even happen. Such as this thing. I didn't believe this was real. It was shared by R. And as you can see, it was specifically, Capcom cancels lecture about Monster Hunter Wilds optimization as devs face threats and harassment. You know, Monster Hunter Wilds, that game that has been panned and has been getting mass downvoted for being so poorly optimized and running like garbage. Yeah, I didn't realize this was real. But no, they actually were planning on doing an entire talk at the CEDEC 2025 conference in Japan about how they optimized Monster Hunter Wilds, but they decided to cancel the talk for fear of harassment and threats and things. They would have covered performance optimization through the lens of Monster Hunter Wilds. The developers would have explored the angles of CPU and GPU load as well as memory usage. And like, here's the deal. I understand making a game, period, is a remarkable accomplishment. And I'm sure they do have some genuinely interesting things to say about doing that and building it. But I mean, come on, man. Like, come on. It runs like ass. And like, you're going to do a whole talk about optimization. Like, really? It would be like Todd giving a talk on how to make polished video games, you know? Or like Neil Druckmann giving a talk on how to make a non-controversial video game. Like, it's just, no. Maybe they know something about what they're talking about. Sure. But they're the worst messenger for that. You know, it's just not a great idea. You know, it's dumb. It's dumb. Gary, thank you for the 5. As soon as I saw the first trailer, I said, we better get Hot Springs. I don't want them to say we can't because of the male gaze. And then they did it with, after they did it with Jin. Yeah, they stuck to it. It's iconic at this point. I mean, it's like a staple of these games. That optimization talk would go as well as a marathon stream about stolen assets. Yeah, or that's another example. It would be like, you know, Bungie giving a talk about creative originality or something. Like, it's just not what you want to do. It just is a bad look, and it's pretty obvious. So this was very funny, and I didn't believe it was real until I looked it up myself. But no, it is real. They were actually going to do a talk about this, and they called it off over concerns of harassment and threats to its staff, which obviously do not threaten anybody, do not do any of that. I don't know if there are actually like concerns over this because it's at like a developer conference. How many like neckbeard, no life losers that were going to threaten you would actually be there? I don't think any, probably. I just think they probably realized that it's a really bad look for your team behind a game that's getting mass downvoted for being poorly optimized. It's a bad look to have them go and give a talk about optimization because it just doesn't make any sense. You know? Doesn't make any sense. Baleful Sloth, thank you for the membership. Welcome. Thank you. They would be a threat if they can get out of their home. Yeah, I mean, even then, a lot of these guys, like, it's been kind of the funny thing I've seen with like who the guys that have the biggest troll communities are like probably Wings, Boogie, DSP, like those guys. And Wings and Boogie, they've been doing that Lolcow live show, and they'll go out in public, they'll meet their fans and stuff, and their fans who might, for all I know, maybe they're saying like horrible things online to them or whatever, but a lot of them are just like fans and they talk really nasty online, but then they meet these guys in person and all of a sudden they're like, hey, can I get a picture? So I don't think there would have been like any drama. I think it would have been totally fine. So yeah, I'm not too concerned about it. Let's see. Just checking in. Are they pouring the concrete yet? Dude, I'm also... this is like... I'm going to chart this out because like this is what I dealt with today. This is in exact proportions because I don't know how to draw it, but it serves a purpose. So like if you imagine I have like a deck here, they're rebuilding the deck. It's a square, but it's a rectangle. Anyway, who cares? But how it was is like the stairs go down here, right? Okay. And then like it's all grass. And this is like the yard. And all the way over here, I have like a big concrete pad where like one of the previous owners wanted to put a hot tub in here, routed it and everything. So I have this kind of the setup. And they're rebuilding the deck. right? Because it was falling apart. But I asked these guys who are doing it, I was like, can you pour a new concrete pad just stretching? Because there's one at the bottom of these stairs. There's one like right here as a landing. And I was like, can you just stretch that out over to the other pad so we have like a clear walkway between the deck and the other concrete pad? That's what I kind of asked for and what I envisioned. The concrete guys came today and they like cut up all of the grass, like tore it all up. They're not doing this. They're doing this. So all of this will be concrete. Now, I did not know they were doing that. It's not what I meant. The problem is the grass is gone. Okay? They did that and they dug up the grass before I realized. Now, it's kind of like a happy accident because guess what? As far as I can tell, I'm still being charged for this. I'm basically just getting a massive new concrete slab and patio for the price of the walkway. It doesn't look bad. Like, it's going to be nice. It basically just means like now we can have the furniture, the deck furniture, whatever, up here, and that'll be nice. And we can put a gate up for, so we can be out there while doggy is down in the grass or whatever. We can put toys down here and like a cooler. The grills can be down on the concrete, so it'll be okay. But yeah, I came outside. And, they got started first thing this morning. They just went straight in the backyard and started working. And I walked out. I was like, oh. They'll charge you per materials used. Well, you see, I received a quote based on my initial, pitch for everything. And because I'm using a team that I've used for a bunch of other stuff. This is the same team and company that finished this basement. It's the same team and company that replaced all my floors upstairs. Like, they're very, very good. And I have a really good relationship with them. But yeah, I don't know if it maybe I just described it poorly or whatever. But either way, I'm getting a much bigger pad of concrete than I thought I was. So there you go. Andy Christo, thank you for the 5 gifted. Thank you. Jeez, guys. This is wild. Thank you. I should start the stream off by deafening you guys more. I should do that more. Seems to be working. Oh, man. Okay, I can close that. I can do that. No. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this finally, though. Let's talk about this. Thank you again, GameWires, for mentioning it. New mini segment kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to take this with a bucket of salt, okay? A massive bucket. Drink the ocean for all I care, because this is a leak coming from 4chan. I know, already it's like, okay, but that's just trying to be clear, trying to be honest. But it's at the very least interesting. It's interesting, so we want to talk about it. This is a post from 4chan that was then mirrored onto Reset Era. The reason a lot of people don't put much weight into 4chan leaks is because they are anonymous. Anybody can literally say anything. And so there are just as many, if not way more fake leaks on 4chan than there are real leaks. But there are occasionally some real ones that slip through the cracks. Either way, this should be interesting. A potential leak about Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet, and it can start to, we can maybe brainstorm and talk about it a little bit, see what happens, okay? So as you can see here, this person claimed, it's not, as far as I understand it, Antonio that made this post, he's just mirroring it, okay? Worked on QA builds from February to May. So this is somebody who's claiming they worked in QA doing some play testing and stuff earlier this year. Can't say much or I'll get effed. Dude, Naughty Dog is hardcore. But here's what I saw. I think The Last of Us Part 2 meets Dark Souls. Not open world in the Ubisoft sense. It's like a nested sandbox. Big areas with layers of traversal, planet-side traversal, mix of glider parkour, and these faith actors you can link to unlock fast travel checkpoints. Right at the outset, I will say this jives with what we've heard from Neil Druckmann. He said back in like 2020, 2021, he said right after the release of Elden Ring as well, he was interested in like open-ended storytelling, in environmental storytelling, in telling stories not just through dialogue and cutscenes, but also through the world. And he wanted to pursue more open-ended agency for the player, which starts to sound like open world-esque games. And he specifically pointed to Elden Ring as a point of inspiration repeatedly. So it's not that far outside the realm of possibility, okay? Combat is very good, satisfying feedback, several combos by stringing jumps and dashes into attacks. You can break limbs to handicap enemies and use special tools to inflict unique status effects, I'm assuming. It's very similar to God of War 2018, but with less focus on combos, juggling enemies. You can use weapons, including the pistol seen in the trailer, to target weak points, some of which can be seen while the enemy attacks. The effects of metal destruction, explosions, and particles is really well made. I mean, none of this sounds too crazy. I mean, the thing with like leaks is you also have to remember sometimes they're real, sometimes they're just made up. And if you're going to make up a leak, often people will point to things that are known. Okay, they'll point to things that are known or have been speculated about and talked about. And so they're taking educated guesses. You know, it's like earlier this year when people were like, I think, I have a leak. Ghost of Yotei is launching by the end of the year. It's like, okay, congratulations. Big brain prediction there. Or like, I believe GTA 6 will launch and have cars. It's like, okay, yeah, it's not novel. You know, it's not a prediction if it's not novel. It has to be novel. It has to be something kind of unique to mean much of anything. The quote-unquote bounty hunter protagonist talks with a dialogue wheel. The bounty hunter protagonist talks with a dialogue wheel is back, but very sparse. Player is still mostly alone. Several encounters are optional. You can stealth, avoid, or even negotiate sometimes, or hack enemies. The planet is a tomb of failed civilizations. Think Elden Ring lore, but in space. Something cut off the planet from the rest of the galaxy 600 years ago, shortly after a technocult implemented a planet-wide lockdown. Druckmann's script is heavy. Like religious apocalypse fanfic meets hard sci-fi. Now, another thing, I hate to be the party pooper. I'm just going to be real with you. A lot of QA testers are not going to get told the story elements of the game, okay? Like, this game is still allegedly years off. This person's almost certainly not playing like a finalized version of the game. And also, like, all of this stuff, something cut off the planet 600 years ago, and it's a tomb of failed civilizations. This is all stuff that has been also said publicly. So, like, literally nothing here is novel. And based on what this person claims to be, which is a QA worker on builds from earlier this year, I don't know how they would know this stuff. You know, I don't know how he would know what the script is. Because again, typically QA stuff, they're going to be like, hey, can you test the combat system? Like, I've been into some of these they do playtest dens is sometimes what they call them, or they'll call them like the playtest lab is what they'll call them too. I did a playtest for a company where we went in and it was a separate spot in the building with a separate entrance for people to come into. You sign all the NDAs and everything. You sit down in the chair. It's almost like a little cubicle, and they give you a very, very specific sliver of the game to play, and they get your feedback on it. They're not telling somebody who's doing combat testing intricacies of the game's writing and stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me, but anyway, I hate to be the Debbie Downer and mention that, but I mean, I'd be very surprised if a QA tester working on, apparently some combat and stuff, testing different systems there, I'd be very surprised if they knew the intricacies of the story. But anyway, Like religious apocalypse, okay, blah, blah. There's cutscenes and several characters you can interact with, but you can still piece together a lot of it by finding info, or a lot of info by finding items, journal entries, and exploring. Tested on PS5 Pro dev kits. Lighting engine is insane. Whole levels shift color based on planetary phase throughout the game, so you can... It cuts off. Music goes from ambient drone to metal religious choir, then to rock. Okay. A lot of, like, again, if the game is pretty early, I don't know. If what he's saying is true, the game is way, way further along than anybody expects it to be. If it already has, like, the music fully implemented with, like, the music shifts and change, and then it also has the final lighting engine and stuff built into it in, like, a QA build, it's way further along than we thought, which he'll get to. There are relics that work like builds. You can hold 2 and swap them, and those can be upgraded. Final thing, launch window internally said late 2026, full cinematic trailer at the Game Awards 2025 if things stay on. Sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit. No, I'm just going to be real with you. Almost nothing said here is novel or unique. It's all pretty much safe guesses based on stuff that's already out there. So none of this seems really that crazy. If they paired this with like a picture or something of their playtest screen that they took with their phone very quickly before playtesting, then I'm paying attention. Then I'll sit up and I'll be like, ooh, interesting. But no, it's like literally I have a friend who works in QA. And you can see the responses. Don't care, didn't ask. Fake and gay. Sounds like every other generic AAA game. Yeah, all sorts of, typical 4chan responses. Hello, my babe. How are you?
Dutch Bros confuses me.
Oh, yeah? Ooh, my babe got me a coffee. Thank you. How's Doggy? Is he still good?
Yeah, the garage door's open.
Yeah, I want to give him some fresh air.
Okay, just all the guys are out there with concrete.
Yeah. Oh, they're working on it. Are they pouring yet?
I think so.
Oh, yeah, they got the concrete truck out there. Look at that.
There's a whole bunch of dudes that watch me come up to our front porch, and they're like, hello.
Like,
It's
what
okay, I
can we
live
do
here.
for you? Oh, yeah, look at that.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Yeah. They just casually moved the sprinkler heads, too. I was like, do we need to get somebody in here to move the sprinkler heads? Because there were 2 sprinkler heads where they're going to put the concrete pad now. And they're like, no, I got it. And sure enough, he just like reaches down, pops this, cuts this, puts that on, cinches it up, like casually, like it's nothing. I was like, this is not your first time. You've done this a lot. Woo, 3,000 calorie coffee, baby. Yeah, buddy. I'm going to have to run on the treadmill after this.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you go, you work out, you burn 800 calories in a session, and then you drink it away in 5 minutes? That's what's about to happen.
I think the trick of parenthood is just to go get a really sugary coffee and not eat anything for the rest of the day. And then you're good.
Yeah.
You're a little nutty, but you made it.
Yeah. Jesus, that's not coffee. Okay, stop bullying me, guys.
It's okay, I got bullied for the fanny
Damn.
pack. They don't like my 90s vibes.
Yeah. Nah, it's okay.
It's fine.
Wait till you see some of her overalls.
Convenience.
Yeah.
My overalls are beautiful.
They are cool. I do like those.
Thank
They're
you.
nice. Mr. Romeo, I did take him on a walk right before we hopped on streams, like 10:45, 11-ish.
Okay. I was about to take him on another one. He's all out of water, so I gave him some more.
Oh, good. Yeah. So yeah, take him on probably another walk. He's been trying to go potty when I take him out to the big green belt.
You told them about...
Yeah, he exploded.
Oh.
His little belly is very upset. Yeah, his very upset. Did you ask them which is their favorite type of concrete? No, but I did tell them my favorite kind of corn. So.
Luke.
What? Am I not allowed to tell stories of my favorite kind of corn?
What? I need to know what you said, though.
I said that I was at a family gathering and all of the farm people were there, and they were all standing around the like fish boil talking about their favorite breed of corn. And I said I had nothing to contribute to that conversation, so I just kind of sat there. They were also all drinking like the most natty light of natty light, like grain beers from the middle of, Minnesota ever. Tastes like water, dude.
You better hope they don't have internet. You better pray they're old and Amish like enough that they don't have internet.
I don't care. I'd tell them this too. If they asked me, like, Luke, what's your favorite kind of corn? I'd be like, I have no freaking idea. The yellow kind? Like, why would I know that?
You know what's not helpful in this situation is he's talking about my family.
All of this, if I ever say something on stream, it's because I'm okay with saying it to that person's face, Like, I have no problem telling them I do not have a favorite kind of corn.
I do. White shoe pig. The best kind of corn.
We're going to Google it. White.
It's really good in white chicken chili.
Shoe peg corn.
It's the best corn.
Oh my God.
Absolutely the best corn.
Why does my wife know a specific breed of corn?
It's in the family, babe.
It's apparently in the family. I gotta step up my game.
But corn is corn.
What is happening? I don't know, dude. I'm just as confused as you are. I go to the store and I'm like, oh, white corn or yellow corn. I don't care. It's corn.
No, it'll ruin your chili. You gotta get the specific kind of corn.
Don't you know?
Okay, now it's coming out.
I don't know, man.
Oh.
Rebinanox, I don't know. Thank you for the sub with Prime. And Sir Shounen. I think I shouted that earlier, but still, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, they made white corn. Thought they were yellow. You've not heard of white shoe peg corn?
White shoe peg corn.
Jeez, dude. I gotta get
the best of corn.
Gotta step it up a notch. Yeah, you betcha. Go make a hot dish. Yeah. Yeah, you betcha.
You're going to bring it out. It's going to be like, oh, babe, I just went to the store and made some snickerdoodles there. And then I thought, oh, we should have them at the barbecue later.
Yeah, but their barbecue sauce is just ketchup. The stereotype of like Midwesterners.
Just say you hate Minnesota.
No, I spent a year of my childhood in Minnesota. It's a beautiful place, and I like a lot of the people there. But yeah, there is no such thing as spice in a lot of Midwestern areas. Like ketchup is kind of spicy. It's
my
freaking
aunt made
funny.
Spicy salsa with a bell pepper while we were there.
Yeah, the bell pepper was the spice.
Yeah. I think it's because it smells like it should be spicy. And so it's like, oh yeah, it hits the senses. That's a pretty spicy pepper.
Cool, my eyes are watering.
Oh, you know.
Oh, you betcha. Don't you know? Yeah.
Just say you hate corn. I don't know what's wrong.
I have not done my research, apparently.
Did you get my text, though?
No.
I got it.
Oh, you got it.
I got it.
I told you. I literally told you. See, you texted me, I'm getting coffee. I got it. And I was like, oh, you got the coffee. Nikki got a role in a musical that we'll keep private for now for security reasons. Because some of y'all are crazy. But she did get a role in a musical, and I'm very proud of you. I told her yesterday she was going to get it. She's like, oh, no, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get my hope. I was like, you're going to get it. Do you know about Lizzie?
She's in.
Okay.
Not what she wanted.
Okay.
But she's in.
Sweet.
No, I'm excited. Hopefully she still wants to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
She might want to do the other one more, though, which I would not blame her. But
yeah. Well, wonderful. Congratulations.
Oh, I'm wearing a Minnesota shirt. That's funny. I didn't realize.
Oh, yeah. Campfire Bay. Campfire Bay, don't you know? Is your wife famous, basically? Yeah.
In the Northern Colorado theater scene, I'm like a C-list celebrity.
Yeah.
People sometimes know I have a Q in my name.
Yeah.
And sometimes they know how to say it with the Q in my name without asking. So you could say I get never recognized.
Kind of a big deal. Yeah. Am I joining at the end of the stream? I don't think so, Tyler. We have a couple other things we're going to get through. Much love. But yeah, we've got a couple other things I want to go through. Did they start pouring the concrete? I'm so interested in this. Oh yeah, dude, they are. Jesus, dude, it's so much more concrete than I thought it was going to be. I should have been clearer. Oops. Jesus, dude. I'm in trouble. Whew. It's okay. It's my house. I can do what I want. I don't care. I do what I want. I want more concrete. I don't care. I do what I want. Because I'm sassy, child. Hope you don't have to pay for that. As far as I understand it, see, now I'm thinking like when I told them I was wanting like just this stretch, they gave me a quote that I thought was way too much. Like way too much. I was like, that's insane for that amount. That's crazy. And then this company that I work with, they're such good guys. They were like, okay, we'll just charge you for materials. We won't charge you for labor. It's like, that's incredibly generous. And then it got to a point where I was like, maybe it's still like a, premium concrete, but okay, it's not that far off. It's not insane. And now I'm wondering if they quoted me for this. And that's why it seemed more expensive. In which case, I'm still getting a good deal on it, but I don't know. Either way, it's one of those things. We went out there yesterday, or this morning, and I saw it, and I was like, actually, I kind of wish I had asked for that. Which, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter now, but like this should work. This should work. So I think it'll be okay. Dude. Oh, man. 4chan responses. Kindly return to Reddit and take your ugly game with you. Yeah, there's some classic 4chan style responses to this. And there's some people actually asking about it, but yeah. I don't know. Personally, I don't think this leak, quote unquote leak, is real. From what I'm seeing, it looks very, very safe in terms of guesses. I don't think it's slated for late 26. I get the vibe it's slated like a year or two later than that. Even if it's targeting late 2026, I'd still be surprised if they were implementing like final music and stuff in it. And again, it still doesn't change the fact that a QA person, seemingly low level, if they only worked there for a few months, even contracted or whatever, especially if they were contracted, they wouldn't be told full story things. But even if they worked internally at Naughty Dog as QA for a few months, I still don't think they would have been told full story details and everything like is outlined here. So I personally am going to put this one into the big doubt bucket. I don't buy it, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe in a year we'll look back on this and be like, wow, they were right. Wow. Also, real quick, just so you know, Mafia Definitive Edition is leaving Game Pass this Sunday, so make sure that you go and play it before it does, because it's good, and you need to do that. Okay. I'm good. Let's see. Where else? What else did I have? Okay. Halfway through. Good. The PS5 gen is the biggest blunder in Sony's history. I mean, I think even people who are like, no, I've actually really been eating it up, and they've put out a good amount of stuff. I just think like there's a pretty sizable. I think there's a lot of people out there who feel frustrated and kind of disappointed. And I think it's because some of the biggest teams have still not put stuff out yet. Like we've gotten one game from Santa Monica with Ragnarok that was very, very good. But we also have not gotten like anything from Naughty Dog. We're about to get Ghost of Yotei, which will be a good entry. But you just compare like the sheer volume of like original or like totally rebooted IP and stuff in the PS4 era. And it was like every 6 months to a year, there was something crazy that was just blowing our minds. And this time around, we've gotten a lot of sequels, a lot of remakes, and a lot of delays and live service games. And I mean, the perception certainly is that the live service stuff definitely disrupted dev cycles. Because like with Naughty Dog, I don't think you can even deny that. With Naughty Dog, they were working on the online game for years and then backed out of it and moved away from it because they were like, never mind. But you want to hear something crazy? So I guess we can do this mini segment kind of thing. So there's this guy, Jacob Navok, I'm not sure, who is a CEO of GenVid, but previously worked in the president's office and director of business at Square Enix, okay, reported directly to the CEO. We've actually talked about some of his posts before because he offers an interesting internal perspective on the games industry because he used to work pretty high up within Square Enix. Like he knows some stuff, you know, but he will occasionally do these like big threads on X and online where he breaks down kind of what he sees in the industry and where he thinks this is going and how things are shifting. And it's really, really interesting. It's really interesting. So for example, here in this thread, he wants to talk about Square Enix, Microsoft layoffs, AI, and Metcalfe's law. Okay. He says, 15 years ago, I used to work on the translation of our annual reports at Square Enix into English. One area that often required editing was the word content. It was a commonly used word in all of our IR materials. Investor relation materials is what that means. The Japanese write kontentsu, which is plural contents, and I would have to re-edit non-native speakers' edits of contents back to the correct content because otherwise the report would go out to saying English like Square Enix provides high quality contents. We use the word content a lot because we were in the content business. We made a myriad content, games, manga, anime. Starting in 2004, my boss, CEO Yotei Wada, began writing in his annual letter to shareholders about network being the future rather than content. People assumed at the time it was about MMOs. Of course, the future was years off. In the meantime, we just made content. In 2004, the word content appeared in the annual report 90 times. Over time, though, this went down. In 2024, the word content appeared in the annual report a mere 28 times. This is going somewhere, I promise. Square Enix has spent 2 decades slowly moving away from being a content business. Not just Square Enix, but every publisher. Wada-san was right. The future of games was the network. Here's page 2 of his 2004 annual report. But the network business he imagined isn't about games being online. It's about the social network of games, Metcalfe's law, replacing the content business. As you can see, networks will transform. The games industry is facing a fundamental realignment. This is not a passing storm. It is a change in the forces that stitched the industry together. The industry was once defined by scarcity of content. You would consume a game, finish Super Mario Bros., and move on to the next, starting Legend of Zelda. Even as the industry transitioned towards richer mediums and even MMOs, it was taken as a basic tenet that games were content. Consumers would purchase new games, thus building good content and marketing that content would lead to profitable outcomes. This is the reason why release dates for the biggest titles were set in the fall, best time to sell content into Christmas, and why there was a constant hustle for getting a unique date that didn't have something like Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed also launching that week. It was similar to the movie business. The movie is named, the date is set, ideally summer, then the content, movie is made. The studios are constantly jostling to ensure that they didn't schedule a movie at the same time as a direct quadrant competition because the audience's time is finite. A proportion of the game business still remains this way, but it is crumbling. As argued last year, the issue with the Final Fantasy series was not that its costs were too high, but that it could not guarantee the revenue needed. The audiences expected to play did not come or were not willing to pay to spend their time. And all this is building into like the broader industry forces and implications of this, okay? Because what he is about to go into more detail describing is exactly why you're seeing PlayStation change their approach with all this live service stuff. It's why Microsoft is changing their approach to this network-based set up with Game Pass and sort of interweaving games and experiences. It's why they want you on so many multiple devices and platforms that they can control or at least have a stake in. All of this is building into the same core concept, okay? So it's building. It's building. Did he factor in people having less money too? Well, I think there's a couple ways you could look at that. People are still spending a lot of money. Like, yes, incomes have not raised in line with inflation. They've largely stagnated, at least in the US. A lot of salaries have stagnated, have not been diminished by inflationary pressures. So there's things like that going on. But in terms of like spending on entertainment, for example, I think this quarter was the first time it dropped in the video game sector. I think maybe ever. Like, it's... People have not stopped spending. They may have less money, but they've still spent a ton of money in the industry. They're just spending it in other places, or they're spending it in places that they are more confident they will get the return they want out of it. So like, they may not be willing to risk $60 or $70 on an iffy 78 out of 100 game, like a C+ game. They may not be willing to risk that money to do that, but they are willing to spend $20 for a DLC or to spend $10 on this skin in this game they already play. That's just what seems to be borne out by the data, that there's still a lot of spending going on even while people are being more selective with the big purchases. It's like they're being, like, on the whole, on average, may not apply to you, but on average across the industry, people are more willing to spend little bits on microtransactions, but they are less willing than ever to spend money on big ticket items. To understand why, we have to take a short detour. Concurrent to the growth of this business was another new market that opened in expanded games. It began with the casuals who first picked up a Wii controller, then moved on to free-to-play mobile titles. Meanwhile, younger consumers who in their teens or 20s should be aging into traditional gamers began engaging with content very differently than the generation of players who grew up with the $50 packaged cartridges and discs. They began with always online titles like Minecraft and then grew even further with Roblox. The generation of Roblox players have no sense of games as individual pieces of content. Roblox is a platform, and on that platform is an infinite number of experiences. There's no need to leave the platform, as you can see here, but for a generation that grew up playing 3D free-to-play games, titles on hand-me-down iPad, spending $500 on gaming-only console just to be able to play is absurd. You can see how this behavior has shifted with Roblox average monthly hours of engagement on mobile skyrocketing while it stayed relatively flat. Now, we are adults, so we don't play Minecraft or Roblox even. But do you realize something very interesting? Quick, in chat, how much money did they spend on Activision Blizzard King? How much money did Microsoft spend on Microsoft Blizzard King? Do you remember? How much was that giga company worth that built Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, StarCraft, like all these amazing games? 70 billion, right? It's technically 69 billion. Do you know how much Roblox is worth? As of today, their market cap is $72 billion. Technically, I know, inflation, but inflation. Technically, Roblox is currently valued higher than Activision Blizzard King. So when like big companies like Sony or Microsoft or whoever, or Apple or whoever, when they look at gaming, they're not just looking at like our bubble. They're not just looking at console gamers. They're looking at the $70 billion elephant in the room, which is Roblox, you know? And so how does this affect all of this? Well, a lot of these companies are trying to identify trends and how this could affect all this, broader behaviors, because you and I may not play Roblox. I see, Mikey says you'd low-key be surprised how many young adults play Roblox. Oh, I'm sure there's actually a surprising number. But like the generation right below me, I think it's a very normal thing. My little sister, who is 18, she plays Roblox. She hops on there because she played it growing up as well. And for them, it's a very normal thing. And so these game companies are looking to the next generation because, again, they can't plan for today. They have to plan for 5, 10, 15 years from now, when those people that grew up on Roblox and were the iPad kids, when they are in their 30s and 40s and have the expendable income. How do you capture them as an audience? He continues, the younger generation has stayed with platform titles, graduating in some cases from Roblox to Fortnite, but still staying within ecosystems. Meanwhile, the casual business that had shifted to mobile started to stick with dominant forever games like Candy Crush or Clash Royale. I actually have a family member on Nikki's side of the family who is like straight up addicted to Clash of Clans, like has spent a ridiculous amount of time and money on that. So I know firsthand that there's a lot of this that can affect it. Monopoly Go has made billions since it launched. A lot of people are just hopelessly addicted to that stuff. That we're now acting closer to platforms themselves and pieces of content. Fortnite is content. It's also a platform. It's also a social network. It's also a tool. On top of this came TikTok, nipping at the heels of times spent on consoles and mobile titles alike. There is a finite time in the day. If TikTok and gambling are growing, something needs to be reduced. The TikTok feed scratches the same itch as many hyper-casual games. Watch, swipe, and the algorithm feeds you a thing that either stimulates you or doesn't, and then gets even better at serving you stimulus the more you feed it input. Yeah, it's literally just like actual brain rot. It's really it's enough to turn you into like a old man screaming at, you know, the milk truck driving by, just being like, I hate it. Back in my day, things made sense. It makes me want to do that. With competition on time looming and the biggest games becoming platforms, we are left with only the traditional packaged business continuing to function as content. But the number of hours in a day has not changed, and the amount of freely available distractions has. Scarcity is gone. Experiences are abundant, which is ever present, ever apparent, because everywhere you look, there is a new live service game competing for your time. Just recently, the latest one that I believe has now, I mean, it's quickly approaching flop territory, is FBC Firebreak. This was done by Remedy, same guys behind Control and Alan Wake 2. This was their attempt at it, at another live service game. And I mean, it launched on Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, and all that, to be perfectly fair. So looking at Steam numbers is not a great indication of this, but still, you would hope if the game was really successful, it would have more than 40 players, you know? Like, it's just, I'm sure they might have, 10 times that across all the other platforms, but that's still like 400 players. And it's just because you're entering a freakishly competitive space and people only have so much time. It's like I've said a bajillion times, if you're going to make a live service game, it has to not only be good, it has to be so good that people are willing to give up the game they've spent hundreds of hours in, all of the skins, all of the badges, the accomplishments. Like, it has to be so good, they're willing to give that up because they only have so much time. And for a lot of people, they're giving that up and they're also moving with their friends over to your game. Like, the reason me and my group of like brothers and sisters and friends, we played a lot of Overwatch 2 together. And then we gave that up and moved over to Marvel Rivals because it was so much better. And honestly, like, if you go and try to play Overwatch again, like, you'll be shocked because it's like 15-minute matchmaking time. So you can play a whole custom game while waiting for matchmaking in Overwatch 2. Whereas in Marvel Rivals, it's literally like within 3 seconds you have a new match. It's ridiculous. And just something like that, you can get, maybe 2 or 3 rounds in an hour in Overwatch, or like 7 to 8 in Marvel Rivals. It's crazy. It's crazy. They continue on. The more platforms, whether Fortnite, Call of Duty, Roblox, Candy Crush, GTA Online, etc., dominate time spent, the less time there is for traditional fixed-time content like AC Shadows. In 2019, the A16Z team wrote a piece about trends revolutionizing games.
highlighting how games had network effects similar to the best social networking platforms. They were spot on, but these effects benefited the incumbents, not new entrants. And A16Z placed a smart bet on pre-IPO Roblox, which was very smart of them at the time. Jacob continues on. Games had indeed reached their network era, but there are very few successful new social networks. In the last decade, the only one that has grown to any prominence to rival Facebook's Blue app and Instagram has been TikTok, with Snapchat having remained relatively small. This means that if games become social networks, there will be few winners. Basic Economics explains as well. Earlier this year, Zynga's Star Wars Hunters shut down. Let's say they had 1 million players and generated $1 million in revenue. These are nonsense numbers. I'm just making an example. Let's say they intended to invest the revenue back into content and thus had a plan to deliver $1 million worth of content more in live operations. Meanwhile, let's say Fortnite has 100 million players and generates $100 million in revenue, and they can deliver $100 million worth of content more in live operations. My friend who had been playing Star Wars Hunters said that he ran out of content quickly and thus gave up after a few weeks, and he has not stopped playing Fortnite because, of course, they can afford to just be the behemoth. With a larger player base and less revenue, Fortnite can outspend 99% of developers in the market, which is true. And this is what we just saw with Mind's Eye and with that Everywhere game from Build a Rocket Boy. Their goal was to basically make an adult Roblox. And I mean, we all know kind of how that went. Everywhere game. Like, this was their goal, to build something like this. They wanted to have this big platform where there are a bunch of different experiences. They wanted to be that network that all the friends hop in, you play different game modes and all this. And this still isn't out. This was revealed, I believe this is the original trailer from 2022, re-uploaded in 23. I'm not sure. But this was their vision. They wanted to do this. But the problem is, if you don't have a Fortnite game to bankroll it, you are doing this on venture capital. You're doing this on like angel investors and all sorts of stuff. And eventually the money dries up, because to compete with Fortnite, you need to spend billions, because that's how much they're spending. That's how much they're spending. Not easy. Not easy to compete with that. They continue. You cannot be the best basic economics that their cost of development is covered by much higher demand, enabling them to build more content. This is the transition point. We have moved from a content-based business to a social media business based on platforms that can constantly improve thanks to scale. You used to consume content and move on to the next. Now content is platform-based. This is the difference between a movie, such as this week's Superman film, and YouTube, which is the latest Luke Stevens video, right? When it comes to digital video platforms, there are only a handful of winners: YouTube, TikTok, and everyone else is simply a creator on that platform. See Grow a Garden. If you don't know about this, Grow a Garden is like a separate mode in Roblox. It's kind of like, what was that old Facebook game? Farmville. It's kind of like that, but in Roblox. This Roblox game, in a matter of months, has far surpassed the concurrence of any Western game in history, even Fortnite. It may not sustain this. It doesn't need to. It grew Roblox as a platform tremendously. It made Roblox sticker, enabled more creators to build on Roblox, and brought more users to play Roblox games. Here is their concurrent user growth this year. Look at this. This is concurrent player numbers, okay? June 21st, you see this peak right around here. Over 20 million concurrent players. 20 million. We just looked at FBC Firebreak that had 40 on Steam. Like, starting to appreciate the crazy volume that they're able to pull. It's outrageous, okay? It's outrageous. This does not mean that games will go away in the same way that movies and television did not go away with the advent of YouTube, but we are fighting for time. Time does not increase. TikTok increasingly taking up time that once belonged to more casual play. Hardcore players are aging out and younger players are drawn to Roblox. This is the problem that Microsoft faced in 2025. Phil Spencer is staring down the barrel of an industry that's changed drastically since he greenlit Perfect Dark's reboot. It's changed drastically even in the few years since they made the case to acquire Activision Blizzard for $68 billion. I believe it eventually eventually became 69. But anyway, the symptoms are becoming clearer. Prior to 2024, a situation like Concord had never occurred. $400 million and 8 years of people's lives gone permanently in 2 weeks. Zero revenue generated. Every sale was refunded. This is astonishing. We'd had Duke Nukem Forever incidents before, and Duke Nukem Forever wasn't refunded, but never something at the scale of Concord. We have still, as an industry, not truly processed what Concord's utter collapse meant. We were quick to sweep it under the rug, thinking it was endemic to the quirks of a hero shooter, but we cannot ignore what happened to Concord because it's about to become the norm. As you can see, the headline clipped here, Marathon isn't going to be another Concord, Sony insists. Now we need that. You sure about that? Are you sure about that? We need that clip coming in. I think at this point it's more likely that it is than it isn't, but we'll see. We'll see. In June 2025 was in fact a critical month for the games industry. This stat is going to blow your mind, okay? I'm about to depress the hell out of you, and I need you guys to stay strong with me, okay? Stay strong. We can read this together and we won't lose our minds, okay? You're about to just go, bro, okay? Because I hadn't heard it phrased this way, but it's going to blow your mind. Nearly $1 billion in game investment went into the following games in June alone. $400 million for Mind's Eye, $100 million for Splitgate 2, hundreds of millions more for Marathon, and tens of millions for Firebreak. These are just 4 titles that in June announced that their launches or betas had not gone as planned. All of them plan to make fixes, but how are many of us to believe that the market can sustain or expand for these titles? Again, that's nearly $1 billion in investment between them. And almost certainly all of these are going to lose money and shut down fairly quickly. In June alone, we've seen 4 separate projects that represent $1 billion that have just gone like belly up. But this is money that's being spent in some cases for like single player games, like Mind's Eye technically single player. It also is like supposed to be a platform, but it's weird. But these other ones are live service games. It's why really like I think that this era of like new live service IP and stuff, it very quickly I think is coming to an end. Because think about it yourself. If you were asked not to spend millions, but even if you were asked to put $500, $1,000, like it's a decent chunk of change. Somebody like came up to you and asked, "Can you invest a $500 into my live service project?" Very unlikely you say yes, especially if it's not from one of these like really established IP like a Call of Duty or something, because it's so competitive, and it's just, even when it's decently successful, it still is very easy for it to flop, Just doesn't work. Small Time, thank you for that super chat. Some metrics from Roblox in May 2025 taken from the trusted analytical tools. Monthly active users were 345 million. Total monthly downloads 23 million. Monthly revenue was 37.6 million USD. Whoa, baby. And that's also why there's a lot of money flowing into Roblox, is because they feel like that platform is fairly under monetized. I don't know if those revenue numbers are correct, but I have heard and read a couple of articles describing how part of the reason so much money is flowing into Roblox right now is because they see it as a massive platform that hasn't fully monetized its user base yet, which is going to be interesting because it's a lot of like kids. So I don't know how you monetize it for children, but I'm sure they'll find a way. They always do. Side note, FBC Firebreak was available for free to Game Pass PlayStation Plus subscribers. Splitgate 2 is also free. Don't be misled by articles like the one in the image below that the industry's problems can be chalked up to Game Pass, a service with barely any growth in the last few years. Game Pass didn't save FBC in the competition with Roblox, Fortnite at all. The real problem for FBC is people are playing the wildly successful free games that are driving tens of billions of dollars in revenue relative to Game Pass's more paltry user base and revenue numbers. Yeah, I mean, I think it's... going on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus and all that, the goal was for it to save FBC and to help them still get more users and stuff. But even then, when you are like on Xbox or the Game Pass app or something, and you're looking at FBC Firebreak and you're like, hey, what game should I play with my friends tonight? You can do that, or you can hop into other Game Pass titles like Call of Duty, Overwatch. If you were so inclined, you could download something for free like Marvel Rivals. There's just a lot of other more compelling options out there, I think. Many people have argued that this is a cost problem, saying that we can resolve the industry's problems by fixing the cost base, fewer assets, smaller worlds, AI. I've heard companies say that. Oh, just use AI. It'll make games cheaper to make. That'll fix it. However, that's for AAA, and fixing the cost base doesn't resolve the lack of players. A shorter Final Fantasy XVII is not going to make more demand. We have a serious demand problem, which I argued a few days ago. I'm going to take the detour here. I've seen people shocked at the cost of games. GTA 6 will likely cost $2.5 billion to develop by the time it's released. Salaries have gone up, crunch has gone down, team sizes are huge, and you have one shot to get an audience, such as we saw with the June titles. You need an exceptional title at launch to not be cyberpunked, and so the money is spent. It can only be this way. The middle is gone. You're either an indie, and I include Claire Obscura as an indie, or you are nine figures. Yeah. It seems like, the AA size stuff is gone. And like more independent AAA stuff is largely getting pushed out. It's true. And I mean, the crunch, I actually, I saw a producer mention this. I forget who they worked for, but it was like one of the big ones, like EA or Activision or something like that. Former producer, I should say. But they were saying how the lack of crunch is also responsible for a lot of the rising dev costs. He's like, we used to be able to get 70 hours out of people in a week, sometimes 80 hours if we really wanted to push it. It's like, now, if we're stuck at 8 hours, yeah, shocker, it takes twice as long for that person to do the same amount of work. I was like, Jesus. Makes sense. Yeah, technically, yeah. If you can't push people to work 16-hour days, it will take you longer, I guess. Yeah, that's true. And therefore, it'll be more expensive. But that just reminds me of that the producer was basically blaming treating people decently as being responsible for it. Again, this is what the audience wants. It's silly to blame suits and publishers when any flaw in a title is magnified by 1,000 YouTubers and gaming websites saying, look at this snarky Reddit post. Management cannot infinitely invest, and the chickens either come home to roost or the title gets canceled, such as Microsoft cancellations last week. To that end, we cannot both argue that developers need to be trusted to make games, but also realize that it's not management making day-to-day content decisions in games where there are 100+ people working. Management did not design a giant yellow trash can as a main character in Concord. When you spend years to make the game, mistakes get made and then get compounded. Management are then asked for more money and time. Eventually, the threshold gets passed, and this becomes a fool's errand because demand never comes. Battlefield has this problem too. I mean, I think with Concord especially, though, that was a project, in my opinion, that should have never been greenlit by management. The concept wasn't compelling. I think how a lot of this works is that they'll get the initial green light based on the pitch. They'll work on a vertical slice, and then the management guys, the big suits, will come back. They'll see the demo. They'll try it. They'll see more of the vision, and they give thumbs up, thumbs down. If it's really bad, they'll cancel it and they move on from there. And there's regular checks like that. I feel like Concord could have been stopped at any point along that journey, that 8-year journey. There were many exit ramps off that highway to devastation. They just put the pedal to the metal, though, and kept going. And it apparently, based on the reporting and leaks and stuff, was because Herman Holst, the head honcho guy, was so delusional with Concord that he called it, a Star Wars level title. He thought it was going to be the next big thing, which any gamer who saw it was like, no way in hell. Which is why immediately when it was revealed, it was ridiculed and mocked so heavily. Because everybody could see it, but it was just because the management up on high was apparently that deluded, and nobody wanted to be the person that stood up to Herman Holst. Nobody wants to stand up to the big guy who's in charge, Nobody wants to do that. It's really tricky. But they continue on. Additionally, if you think $400 million for Battlefield is too high or $2.5 billion for GTA 6 is insane, by definition, you are saying those people working on it should not have had jobs. We cannot expect that everyone should be employed. Games can be developed perfectly and no flaws will be accepted. This is a complete inconsistency set, this is a completely inconsistent set of arguments, yet appears frequently. I mean, I think players are demanding more. They're more selective with their money. Players don't want their developers to have to crunch, but they don't want games to take longer. So you need bigger teams, and that drives up cost even more. And if the game is not a really solid game because prices have risen, people are more selective and won't buy it. And so it just is a cycle that spins and spins and spins. You know, prices have risen, people are more selective, but now less people are buying those games, so you have to raise the price if that number of customers stays consistent, and then even fewer people are buying the game because they're even more skeptical and suspicious and their demands are higher. So it's just like a constantly turning self-fulfilling prophecy. It's why, like, really, initially it seems like raising prices on a game from 70 to 80 or 80 to 90 fixes a problem, or from 60 to 70, 70 to 80. But it doesn't. Like, it kind of assumes that the same number of players will buy it. Yeah, if we have 100 customers and we charge them 12% more, we will make 12% more money. That's only true if 100 people buy it at 12% more, you know? If now only 70% of people, or 70 people, buy your product, it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. You raise the price, but you're actually ending up behind where you were initially because you lost so many customers in the process, you know? It's just done. Yeah. Then he goes into more discussions over AI, more discussions over things like mobile games such as Scopely spending insane amounts of money on Monopoly Go. They've also taken in literal billions of dollars in revenue from Monopoly Go. It's made stupid amounts of money. And then here he comes to this bit, which is also interesting. The ultimate ticking time bomb is Roblox and UEFN as the generations that grow up with it continue to stay. I return to Grow a Garden Growth. This is not a coincidence. Gamers who are happy with Roblox and UEFN will stay with it, just as the YouTube generation of kids continues to watch YouTube. This platform effect, Metcalfe's Law, is the future of games and will continue to grow. Death Stranding 2 sales, meanwhile, barely passed Claire Obscure in its first 3 days, and that's if you generously discount the fact that Claire was free on Game Pass and Death Stranding 1 on D1 was free on Game Pass on day one, and grew massively faster shortly after due to good word of mouth, hitting 3.3 million copies in its first month, whereas it would normally taper. $1 spent on Death Stranding 2 in this industry is better spent on trying to make Fortnite, see Phil's dilemma above, which is why Sony will keep trying to make something out of its Bungie acquisition. Marathon will release, but won't solve the problem. Roblox and Epic already have forever platforms. Sony needs its own, or it will still be in the content business in a network business era. Nintendo may be happy to stay forever as a content business, but I suspect Sony isn't able to say the same, which is true. Yeah. And he goes on. I mean, I highly recommend that you go and check this out because he has a lot of very interesting insights, and he does these big threads pretty regularly. So there's always a lot of interesting tidbits. But I think the main takeaways again are just that the industry is changing, and if you want to compete on the live service stage, which is where most of the money is, you have to have one of those big platform games. And the platform games, like a Roblox, like a Fortnite, like a GTA Online, those are freakishly expensive to produce, and they are still highly, highly competitive. And so it's just a changing world. It's a changing world, but that's what people have to come to grips with, and that's what they're trying to come to grips with, and it's why Sony will continue to spend ridiculous sums of money trying to make this work and trying to get their own. It's why Herman Hulse said, we're not going to give up on it. We're going to try again. They're going to put Marathon out. It probably doesn't do too well and they move on. And then they'll try another one. They'll see if Fair Game $sign does well. Nope. Okay. Well, we're going to try again. Let's see if we can get the Horizon game working. Nope. Okay, try again. Like, that's just how it goes. Because again, if you get one success, one platform level game that blows up, that can be enough to justify the losses for everything else. But what I think is not being factored in from PlayStation specifically is how much damage this pursuit is doing to all of their other ventures and all their other pursuits. Because every time they have one of their big studios waste 5 years developing a live service game that ends up going nowhere and either flops or gets canceled, that takes away from not just revenue, but also fan satisfaction from their single player teams. And it also loses a lot of talent. Like, a lot of these devs don't want to make big live service games. Like, they want to work on single player stuff. They want to work on narrative stuff. They want to work on adventure games. They don't want to be pumping out another Fortnite clone, you know? And so it's just going to be very interesting. The next 5 years is going to be fascinating to see. Hopefully more companies kind of learn the lesson and don't continue making the same mistakes. But, you know, Sony's just going to keep trying, you know, to win at blackjack over and over and over again, see if anything happens with it. Eventually, you know, if they keep spending billions on it, eventually they should, just as a matter of math, they should stumble into accidental success eventually. But as of right now, I don't see anything on the horizon where I'm like, oh, I think this is it, you know? That's the tricky bit, is that, you know, some games you see them and you're like, oh, I could see this being big. Yeah, I think this could be it. I don't think, like, I think we all see Arc Raiders. That could be big. Arc Raiders looks really good. I think that could be big. I don't see anything from PlayStation where I'm like, this could be the next big thing. Even like the leaked stuff. Like, the more Horizon multiplayer stuff gets leaked, the more people say that it's cringe and get frustrated. Yeah, I'm not going to pull it up right now, but if you want to see some of the leaked character designs and leaked stuff from the Horizon Online game, you can Google it and find it. It will surprise you. We'll see if it ends up looking that way. But I can see the YouTube videos already. You know, I can already see them in my mind's eye. Man. Yeah. I think Horizon, the reason, or one of the reasons Horizon's been utilized so much is because it is a very marketable IP. Like, it's really easy to frame that and to, I think, to put it in a commercial. It's really easy to put it on a poster. Like, it's just very easy to sell in that way. But I do think it just hasn't like earned the respect of players in the same way that some of these other IP have, you know? It just hasn't worked. Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden West both sold really well, tens of millions of units. Yeah, no, like I said, they're really good showcase games too. They're really good for showcasing the power of devices. But like Horizon Forbidden West underperformed the first game by a pretty significant margin in terms of sales. The DLC did decently, especially being PS5 exclusive. You couldn't play it on PS4. But it also kind of just came and went. But they've continued to try to double down. They tried to do the VR game. The VR game was received kind of to mediocre reception. And now they're greenlighting a big MMO. They're greenlighting they did the Lego game that also flopped pretty catastrophically, and they're trying. Yeah. Haven't seen Horizon get hate necessarily. Just see a lot of people stating how they really aren't that great for how much Sony pushes them. Well, I think it's also just a general vibe with like the stop trying to make fetch happen thing, where it's like they're trying so hard to make it the next big thing that people are just kind of like, can we chill? Can we chill? Dude, this is crazy. Nvidia went up. They crossed the $4 trillion market cap mark. You could buy so many Robloxes with that. They popped $4 trillion, dude. They are now larger than Germany. Jesus, dude.
That's wild. That's wild. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, the Nvidia thing, if you own any like retirement account stuff, if you own any SPY, any sort of ETF, you probably own a sliver of Nvidia. It's absolutely crazy how much it's grown. And everybody agrees, like there's almost certainly a bubble with AI stuff right now, but it's weird because like Nvidia is not blowing up because of like their stuff is built necessarily just on AI. They're building the hardware that's used for the AI stuff by everybody. So they make the hardware everybody needs. So if the bubble pops, like does Nvidia even plummet that much? I don't know. Well, should have bought the dip. Yeah, we're a little past the dip at this point. We're a little past the dip. Dude. Somebody bought $7.7 million in Nvidia puts. That's very brave. That's very brave. Huh. Basically, they're betting it goes down. So they're like putting a lot of money, $7 million, saying it's going down. It's either somebody that's got billions and they're just building a hedge position, or it's somebody that doesn't like their money. I don't know. That's crazy. The one piece of advice I'll give to people. This is financial advice. Don't ever mess with options. I know you think you saw a YouTube video. You think you understand how it works. I know you watch a TikTok. Don't mess with options. Okay? Don't do it. I cannot tell you how many people have lost everything trying to play around with options. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Not worth it. You know, it's also not worth it. Another Starfield expansion. Let's talk about it, baby. Stay, baby. Yeah, buddy. Let's do it. You ready? We have to. You got a degree or something? No. I should get one though, shouldn't I? Yeah. If you don't know what Black Shoals is, don't touch it. Exactly. Like the people who know about options often still don't touch them. Okay. Like there is something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Okay. This is a very well-known thing. It applies to everything. We talked about it initially with like flat earthers, but it's like this. Okay. This is kind of how it looks. So this is the level of confidence. Okay. This is confidence up and down. And then our x-axis is like experience. Okay. So we'll just do XP. When you first start learning something, like you very beginning, you like read maybe a few articles on investing, or you know, you watch a couple YouTube videos or TikToks or whatever, you do a couple trades, you make a little money, you're all excited. You start climbing this mountain of confidence or arrogance. And this is the precise moment where a lot of people buy options and they try to start trading them and they lose everything. Because as you gain experience, this is, you know, you go down this hill, you get more experience and your confidence lowers as time goes on. Eventually you bottom out in this valley because you're like, I really don't know anything. When I got my undergraduate degree, I was like right here. I ended my graduate degree with a degree in corporate finance, leaving being like, I know so little about all this stuff, because you know what you don't know. You know, you are experienced enough to understand all of the people that are way, way smarter than you, that know way more than you, you know? Don't buy options. If you buy options, you're probably here. Even the people over here, they're probably not buying options. Okay. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. Just don't do it. I like to lose money in a way I trust, by gambling. Thank you very much. Yeah. At least gambling, I feel like, can be more fun. Options can just be depressing. Here we go. Let's touch on this.
New article from Insider Gaming from Grant Taylor Hill says Starfield's missing expansion and Bethesda's silence stirring unease. This is something we've touched on a number of times, actually, because after Summer Games Fest, specifically with the Xbox showcase, you know, that happened at the same time, I was shocked they didn't have anything for Starfield, like at all. Like I thought there might be an announcement for a PS5 port or something. I thought maybe there would be an announcement for the new expansion, which allegedly is still coming, new DLC, new paid mods, because, you know, they love those. What they said earlier in March was this. They wrote this post on social media where's the full post? Yeah, just show me the post. We know you're eager for an update, and we truly appreciate your passion for Starfield. I am passionate about it, tell you what. And we truly appreciate your passion for Starfield. The team has been hard at work, and while we're not ready to share specific details just yet, we have a lot of exciting things planned for the game this year that we can't wait to talk about when the time is right. We're always listening and taking your feedback, except for Luke's. Thanks for being part of this journey with us. And this is like literally the last time they said anything about it. Like 4 months ago. That's the last time they said anything. And bear in mind, they're supposed to be releasing a big expansion this year. Now, me and like 3 other people are still talking about it, to be fair. It's not really a hot topic of discussion anymore. But it's still crazy that they have a decent, like, you know, nothing to balk at. You know, any other studio, I think, would be pretty happy with the numbers they have. If we look up Starfield, even on Steam, it's popular on Game Pass as well. But even on Steam, okay, I take what I said back. They're at 4,000. Okay, they were peaking in like 5,000, 5,800. I thought it was up towards like 12, 15,000. But I was wrong. Never mind. Okay, yeah, player counts aren't great. Shattered Space was a known thing long before the release of Starfield in September 2023. That's because it had a like trademark leak. Todd Howard confirmed that a second expansion was in development in June of 2024. This is why when people say, no, they never said they're doing it. For one, they said expansions. They said we want to do annual expansions for Starfield. So that means more than one. At the very least, could mean 2, could mean 15, but it says at the very least more than one. And in June of 2024, he said that they are working on a second expansion. Since then, no meaningful message has been uttered by them despite opportunities having presented themselves. They did say this one that we mentioned earlier. That's the last time they said it. Xbox Game Pass or Xbox Game Showcase came and went. Nothing said. And here you go. It all boils down to accountability. It was a clear promise that Starfield would have one major expansion a year. And in the 2 years that we've been sitting with Starfield, the only expansion we've even heard about was revealed long before the game came out. Bethesda's guarantee of long-term support is feeling increasingly hollow, especially when you look at the post-launch efforts of an adjacent project like Fallout 76, the MMO that they've been chugging along with for 7 years. If Starborn echoes the performance of Shattered Space and fails to deliver, or worse, never materializes, Starfield may be chalked up as a failure after more than a decade of development. Fans are now hoping for and fully expecting some kind of reveal or announcement at Gamescom, which kicks off in just a few weeks. We know that Bethesda will be in attendance, but nobody knows in what capacity. We also know that Fallout 76 has the biggest update ever planned, so it could be something related to that. I mean, here's the deal. Here's the deal, fam. Pointing to concurrent player counts, typically, I don't think is fair for a single player game. It launched in 2023, 2 years ago. And like, shocker, yeah, the player counts are not going to be as high as they were back when it launched. Of course. The more worrisome bump is over here, okay? When they released the expansion for the game that they want it to be like living and breathing and everything, you see a tiny little bump and then it goes back down. People played it because it was all of 5 hours long and then it disappeared. And now player counts are really low. But if we look at other Bethesda Game Studios titles, you can see that we have, of course, like Oblivion. Well, even Fallout 4 is at 14,000 players right now. 14,000. Fallout 3 down at 400. Oblivion Remastered is at like 5,700, still outperforming Starfield. Special edition Skyrim is at 21,000 players after all this, and that's a game released in 2016. You know, it's like very, very normal, healthy pace of players. Like very, very, anybody would kill for these player counts. You know, it's absolutely wild. But Starfield has just not achieved that goal, which I think is why it's fair to bring it up and compare it and just be like, yeah, it still has people playing it. There's 4,000 people playing it right now, but you know, it's without a doubt, it's underperformed what they wanted it to do. This doesn't take into account, you know, like console players. Absolutely. That's totally fair to say, but we're comparing apples to apples when we compare, you know, Steam user bases. Well, let's do Witcher 3. Yeah, like 20K basically in Witcher 3. So I think for them, you know, they're in a tough spot because they can do the expansion. I think the expansion already has most of the work done on it, which is probably why they would put it out, because they're like, hey, we did all the heavy lifting. Let's just polish it up, finish it, put it out there, and we'll sunset Starfield. I think that's probably what's going to happen. I still think we see the second expansion. And at this point, I'd be shocked, like actually shocked, if it's not at Gamescom. Because what I think is going to happen, and this is what I mentioned, I think on the podcast. Let me see, Gamescom 2024. Here. So you remember this? I don't think I'm actually going to be able to play the audio. Let's see, I think I just skipped it. I won't be able to play the audio because our sound mixer is broken. But as you can see, there was this one moment where like they do the trailer for Indiana Jones. It's received really well. Everybody's applauding. And then Jeff did this awkward like, and there's one more very exciting thing. Oh, but doesn't look that good. Probably wondering when the game is coming out, right? He turns around. They reveal the date. People applaud. Yay, it's coming out. Yay, it's happening. Okay. And then he turns around. There you have it. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is coming out this December for, come on, Xbox Game Pass and PC. But there is one more thing that Machine Games and Bethesda wants you to know. And then they do this weird reveal. He turns around and then they go spring 2025 PS5 as like a separate announcement. It was really weird. It was kind of awkward. But I think they probably do the same thing here, but for Starfield. I think Todd probably comes out. They do the trailer for Starfield's second expansion, and then Todd comes out on the stage, maybe sitting on Jeff's shoulders like a toddler. And he's like, everybody, it's also coming to PlayStation 5, the complete edition of Starfield, PlayStation 5, $80. Check it out. Out now. Yeah, something like that. And I think that's how they do it. And then that's going to be the point where they sunset it. They're going to wipe their hands of it and move on, which I think is the best way to do it. We were also talking on the podcast the other day to Jor, and Jor was saying how he thinks there's no shot there's ever a sequel to Starfield. At this point, I think you have to kind of break it down with Todd's career as you see it, because all accounts say that Starfield was Todd's baby. Like that's the game he always wanted to make since he started making games. He always wanted to make a space game. In the Starfield big saga video I did, that's like 8 hours long, I showed you forum posts that you can still find to this day. These forum posts show Todd back in like 1997 talking about the different space games he'd like to see and the games he was playing and stuff. Again, go check out the Starfield saga video I did if you haven't already. But for Todd, like where he's at is, you know, if this is the timeline of his career, you know, we're at a spot where like they did in 23, they did Starfield. They probably do Elder Scrolls 6 in, I'm guessing like 20, I still think like 28 personally, maybe 27, maybe 28, who knows. But they probably do it somewhere around there. And then another 5 to 6 years for Fallout 5. And if that's in 2034 for Fallout 5, which at this point is pretty clearly the order they're going, that would then present them the opportunity to do Starfield 2 in 2040, which I am not joking. That's about the timelines we're talking about. Okay. In 2040, just a little under 20 years after the first game. At this point, Todd is going to be 63 or 64 years old. I don't see him working until he's 70 years old on Starfield 2. I just can't see that happening. If you have made millions as he has, if you're driving your little Tesla around Maryland and calling Elon Musk and hanging out, sending him Vault Boy statues, as we learned at the E3 Coliseum in 2019. If you're doing that, I don't know why you'd want to spend your Golden Girls years getting beat up online and trying to make Starfield work. Still, no doubt, in the creation engine. I think personally, my prediction, and I know some people think he's retiring here. Some people said Todd retires here. I don't see that happening. I think Todd retires here. I think he goes through Fallout 5, sees that through, and then we'll get an announcement that he's stepping away and handing the reins to somebody else. I think that's what happens. Do you think Bethesda can afford to have an Elder Scrolls 6 problem or perform like Starfield? Well, they can afford it because Daddy Microsoft will make good on it. I think, in terms of reputation, I think this pretty much makes or breaks Todd's long-term legacy, unfortunately, because I think if he had retired after Skyrim, that would have been it. Todd turns 55 this year. So that would mean he was born in 1970? So by this point, he'd be 64. And by this point, he would be 70. Yeah, that's about right. If Elder Scrolls 6 isn't good, it would be released 4 times in a row that are at least mixed. But this is also, if you listen to that interview he did with Maddie, that interview was so freaking interesting for so many reasons. So freaking interesting for so many reasons. Not all for great reasons, but still interesting. But in that interview, Todd phrases things he's asked about, I don't know if it was this interview or the one with Kind of Funny Games, but in one of these interviews, he's asked about what do you think of the reception to Starfield, which was pretty mixed. I think it was the Kind of Funny Games one. And he's like, yeah, there's some people that really liked our game and other people that liked it less. It's is that how we're defining it? Or he says stuff more players than ever played Starfield than any of our games prior at launch, which is true because of Game Pass and things. But it's if we're just going based off of player counts, I think that's how they're determining success. It's based on player counts. I think broader sentiment, it doesn't really matter that much at this point. I think at this point, it talks positivity. I don't know. I think it's marketing spin more than anything. You talk to a used car salesman, for example, which people have accused Todd of coming off like a car salesman before. He's really good at selling, but he kind of comes off that way where he's not going to tell you all the nitty gritty details you probably want to know. But the way, a car salesman might be you might point out, hey, is that rust on the chrome bumper or whatever? And he's going to go, oh, no, that is a nice iron oxidation that actually is an indication of the car adjusting to its natural climate. So that just means that the car has adjusted to the humidity of the area you're in. It's actually, probably for a lot of people, they like it because it gives a unique look. You get the car out of the shop and it looks the same for everybody, but this car is uniquely yours. It's like a fingerprint. And you're like, so you just described rust and then you said and then you said that it's unique. You know, it's a feature. It's a feature. And you know, that's part of what they teach you in sales, is to find ways to frame things that way. And he's good at it. It's the one thing I'll always give Todd. He's a phenomenal salesman. Phenomenal. And for a long time, he had products that also really, really backed it up. My frustration is just that I feel like BGS's product has steadily gotten, maybe not worse, but it's not evolved. It's not improved. They've just continually kind of treaded water. And I feel like it's, I don't know, it's a little jarring to see that they just have not really taken a lot of steps forward. But it is what it is. Oh, Todd. Oh, Todd. He'd be a good politician or press secretary. Well, I mean, being able to sell something is a very, very useful skill. And whatever you think of Todd, he's charismatic as shit, dude. He just is. He just is. Like, how many other people could do a video with Wired breaking down their career in the games industry? Like just outlining the games that they produce. Like, not everybody could do that, but he does it, and there's a whole cult around him. We joke about it all the time. We joke about, you know, the cult of Todd, praise be to Todd. And when he comes out on stage, a lot of people pay attention. They sit up and you want to listen to him. So he is a compelling guy. He's incredibly charismatic, and you should never take that away from him. My frustration is just that I feel like as the rest of the industry has made all these leaps and strides and improved and evolved, I feel like BGS has just stagnated. And I also, you know, some people will think it's, you know, time to move on or whatever. I don't think you can just hand wave away something like Fallout 76. They knew that was broken, and they didn't care. It's the same thing with Cyberpunk 2077. They knew that was broken, and they didn't care. In fact, they tried to hide it from you and sell it to you anyways. Like, that type of thing is so scummy. So scummy. It's why I'm honestly shocked that a lot of those executives within CDPR are still in position, because it was ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. Why do you think Europe is cooking the US with quality releases recently? Oh, you mean with like Expedition 33? I mean, I don't know if it's specifically a matter of location. I think it's just the talent. There's a lot of really talented American developers too, you know, like, you know, or Canadian developers or whoever else. I'm not sure if it's, you know, geographic related, but yeah. KCD2, Expedition 33. Well, KCD2, I'll always love me some KCD2. And Expedition 33. Cyberpunk eventually got there. Baldur's Gate also got there. There's a lot of very successful like video game developers and artistic companies based out of there. I think it's also partially it's where a lot of talent ends up. So it's why you see a lot of game developing companies going and being based in San Francisco, or being based in Paris, or being based in where's another hub of game development? Montreal. There's a ton of developers in Montreal. And it's because that's where the talent is. You form a studio there, you get some people that come over from Ubisoft, you snipe a few people from this company, from that company. Like, that's just kind of how it works. But yeah, I think North American games, I think there's a lot of them. And if anything, like the biggest game companies in the world are American. But I think that's part of the reason why they, you know, we don't see as many of the really soulful Expedition 33 type games, because if you are a game developer in America, you're probably going to go work on like Roblox in California, you know, or you'll go work on, you know, an EA game or a Square Enix, or not Square Enix, a Activision game or whatever. Well, Insanity Pepper, the interesting thing about Expedition 33, so after the game came out, the dust has kind of settled and people have looked into it more. I believe they said only 3 of the 32 developers, because one of them is a dog, only 3 of them were former Ubisoft employees. The rest came from other teams and other places. Like, for example, I believe it was their CTO or COO at Sandfall Interactive previously worked at like a Go Green reduced carbon emission Uber competitor. Like, he'd never worked in video games before, but previously he was working at like an Uber competitor. Yeah, the COO. Yeah, he worked at like a specifically a French version of Uber that is like low emissions and everything. And then he started there, you know? So a lot of them were just fresh first project ever like this. The sort of narrative became that it was 30 people from Ubisoft and they said, screw you, big man. And then they threw it together. But that's not actually what it was. Yeah. Ubre. Uber. That would have been funny if that's what it is. That would have been freaking funny if that's what they called it. Oh, that would have been really funny. Yeah, for many, it was their first credit in the industry. Exactly. Like, it was just people came in, they're like, let's make a game. And they figured it out. And honestly, maybe that's what you need, is just a fresh perspective to come in and be like, oh, you did this way when you're at the game development studio. Well, let's do it this other way. I think this will work better. You just need the fresh perspectives. Clearly it worked for them, you know? Lorian, the composer, I think it was the same first game, made 8 hours of banger music. Yeah, dude. Found him through, I think he said a SoundCloud like page. Found some audio of his. Was like, hey, would you like to work on this project with me? Dude ends up making some of the hardest music you've ever heard. It's unbelievable. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, Jacob and Trevor, I don't know if we bother clipping that that Starfield bit. I don't know if it's worth it, but let me know. Let me know. Anywho, it looks like I need to go check in with the team outside. So I got to go check that out and make sure they're still rocking and rolling with all that stuff. So I will see you guys in a few days. Be back Monday, rocking and rolling. It's going to be wonderful. I'm going to continue trying to learn Unreal Engine for something I'm trying to work on. It's a lot. we're getting there. But yeah, you guys have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe. Let's work together. I'm down, Jacob. I can pitch you what I want to do. But I'll see you guys soon. Much love. Stay safe. I'll see you Monday. Hugs and kisses, everybody. Bye-bye. Mwah. And I swear I'll have the audio working next time. Okay.